Have you ever felt a thirst that water cannot quench? A silent scream in a crowded room that no one else can hear? A profound sense of dislocation, as if you are playing a role in a movie about your own life, but you have forgotten all your lines. You move through the days, you perform the tasks, you smile at the appropriate moments, but underneath it all, there is a low, persistent hum of wrongness. A feeling that you are running on empty, not in a way that sleep can fix, but in a way that touches the very marrow of your being. You look in the mirror, and a stranger looks back. A stranger wearing your face, carrying the weight of your history, but whose eyes have lost a certain light. This is the exhaustion of the soul, the quiet crisis of the modern human, adrift in a sea of noise and expectation, starving for something real in a world of artifice. You have built a life, but have you lost yourself within its walls? You have accumulated knowledge, but have you misplaced your wisdom? You are connected to 1,000 people through screens, yet you feel profoundly alone. This is an invitation, not to escape, but to return. Not to become someone new, but to remember who you have always been, beneath the layers of conditioning, beneath the scars of past hurts, beneath the deafening static of the mind. I want you to grant yourself this space, a sanctuary carved not from stone or wood, but from silence and intention. Here, in this quiet place, you do not need to perform. You do not need to pretend. You do not need to be anything other than what you are, right now, in this moment. The journey we are about to embark upon is not one of outward conquest, but of inward archaeology. We will dig. We will unearth the invisible chains that have bound you, the silent narratives that have directed you, the forgotten longings that have been waiting patiently in the dark. This is not about finding easy answers that soothe the surface. It is about learning to sit with the profound questions that awaken the depths. It is a dialogue with the most intimate part of yourself, the silent witness that has been there all along. Let the world outside fall away for a time. Let the noise recede. Take a slow, deep breath. The journey home has already begun. It begins as a whisper, a faint hum beneath the surface of your days. But soon, the whisper becomes a murmur, the murmur, a roar, until it is all you can hear. This is the sound of the mind, a relentless, deafening noise of being. It is the inner static, the perpetual broadcast of commentary, judgment, worry, and planning that has become the soundtrack to our existence. It is the voice that narrates your every move, that replays past mistakes on an endless loop, that rehearses future conversations that will never happen. It is the 1,000 tabs open in your mental browser, each one demanding your attention, each one draining your vital energy. We have come to believe this is normal. We have accepted this internal chaos as the price of admission to a busy, productive life. But it is not normal. It is the signature of a profound disconnection, a symptom of a soul that can no longer hear itself think. We have become addicts, junkies for distraction. Our drug of choice is not a substance, but stimulation itself. The glowing screen is our needle. The notification ping is our Pavlovian bell. We scroll through the lives of others to avoid living our own. We fill every pocket of silence with podcasts, with music, with news, with anything that can drown out the unsettling quiet. Why are we so terrified of the silence? What are we running from? We are running from the vast, open space of our own consciousness. We fear that if the noise stops, if the distractions fall away, we will be left alone with an unbearable emptiness. We fear we will come face to face with the questions we have spent our lives avoiding. Am I happy? Is this all there is? Who am I, really? Without my job title, without my responsibilities, without my carefully curated identity. The static is a shield, a buffer protecting us from the raw, unfiltered truth of our own state of being. The mind, that magnificent instrument designed to be our servant, has become a merciless tyrant. It was forged to be a tool, a sharp knife for solving problems and creating beauty, but we have let it become possessed. it now wields us. It wakes us in the middle of the night with phantom anxieties. It steals the joy from a beautiful sunset by insisting we capture it on camera rather than experience it. It robs us of genuine connection by feeding us a constant stream of judgment about ourselves and others. This inner monologue is not you. It is a program, a conditioned ghost in the machine, and it is running your life into the ground. The great conflict of the spiritual seeker is not between good and evil. It is between the soul's deep primal craving for peace and the mind's terrified addiction to noise. A part of you, the deepest part, yearns for stillness as a desert wanderer yearns for water. It remembers a state of being that was clear, open, and untroubled. Yet, the moment you are given a taste of it, a quiet car ride, a moment alone in a room, the mind rebels. An incredible restlessness arises. The fingers begin to twitch, reaching for the phone. A sudden, urgent need to do something takes over. This is the panic of the ego, the jailer, realizing the prisoner is noticing the open cell door. It will do anything to keep you confined to the familiar noise of your mental prison. It will tell you that silence is boring, unproductive, even dangerous. It will dredge up your most painful memories and your most terrifying fears to prove that it is safer to stay distracted, to stay numb, to stay asleep. Herein lies the first noble truth of this journey inward. The healing you seek does not begin by adding another thing to your life. It does not come from a new technique, a new book, or a new belief system. It begins with an act of radical subtraction. It begins with the courage to simply stop, to stop feeding the machine. The first step toward freedom is to turn and face the storm, to acknowledge, without judgment, that you are living in the heart of a self-created hurricane. This admission is not a sign of weakness. It is an act of supreme power. It is the moment the sleeper begins to stir. It is the moment you reclaim your position as the master of your own inner world, not its slave. You must see the chaos for what it is, not an inevitable reality, but a conditioned habit. You are not the noise. You are the silence that the noise is happening within. This realization changes everything. It shifts you from being the victim of your mind to being the calm, unshakable witness of its antics. So, how do we begin? We do not begin by fighting the mind. That is a war you can never win, for the mind thrives on conflict. We begin with something much gentler, much more profound. We begin by creating small, sacred islands of silence in the vast ocean of our day. I am not asking you to meditate for an hour. I am asking for 5 minutes. Find a place where you can be undisturbed. Sit down and do nothing. Do not try to empty your mind. Do not try to find bliss. Do not expect enlightenment. Your only task is to give yourself permission to be unproductive, to be still. And then you watch. You watch the mind's rebellion. You feel the pull of restlessness. You hear the surge of thoughts demanding your attention, and you simply let them be. You observe the inner static as you would observe clouds passing in the sky. You are the sky, not the clouds. Then you practice a deeper form of listening. You learn to listen to the silence itself. In a piece of music, the silence between the notes gives the melody its shape and beauty. In a conversation, the pause between words carries more weight than the words themselves. It is the same within you. Start to notice the tiny gaps between your thoughts. At first, they may be infinitesimally small, but they are there, a space, a moment of pure, unadorned presence. This is the frequency of your soul. This is the clear channel you have been searching for. Do not try to force these gaps to be longer. Simply notice them when they appear. Acknowledge them, cherish them. Each time you do, you are gently, patiently turning the dial of that mistuned radio. You are moving away from the static and inching closer to the clear, beautiful signal of your true self. The static may grow louder for a time, protesting this change. Let it. Your job is not to argue with the broadcast. Your job is to remember that you are the one who holds the radio. You have the power to change the station. This is not a quick fix. It is a practice, a patient cultivation. It is the most loving act of self-care you can perform. To give yourself the gift of your own quiet, undivided attention. By acknowledging the deafening noise, you have taken the first, most crucial step toward hearing the sacred whispers that have been waiting beneath it all to guide you home. And as you sit in this newfound quiet, a question will naturally begin to form, a question that leads us directly to the heart of the matter. If this noise is just a broadcast, then who or what is the broadcaster? You have quieted the external world, and now you sit in the humming silence of your own being. The initial storm of static begins to calm, and in its place, a new awareness dawns. You are drawn to a mirror. Not necessarily a physical one, but the inner mirror of self-reflection. You look, and you do not recognize the person looking back at you. The features are yours. The lines around the eyes tell your story. The hair is your color. But the essence, the being peering out from behind the eyes, feels like a stranger. An actor who has been on stage for so long, they have forgotten their own name, believing themselves to be the character they play. This is the moment of confrontation. This is the moment you meet your ego. The ego is not an evil entity. It is not an enemy to be vanquished. It is a survival mechanism, a psychological construct that began its life as your protector. From a young age, it learned what behaviors earned you love and approval, and what led to pain and rejection. It started to build a personality, a mask, designed for acceptance. It is a beautiful, intricate collage made from the scraps of your life, your job title, your academic degrees, the brand of your car, the number of followers you have, your political affiliations, your role as a parent or a child. It is made of your memories, both the proud ones and the shameful ones. It is made of the opinions of others, the praise and the criticism that you have internalized and mistaken for your own voice. We have spent our entire lives decorating this mask, polishing it, defending it, and presenting it to the world. We have invested our whole sense of self-worth in this fragile construction, and that is why it causes us so much pain. Because a mask, by its very nature, can be damaged. When you lose your job, a piece of the mask is ripped away, and you feel a sense of annihilation. When a relationship ends, a part of your identity dissolves, and you are plunged into crisis. When you are criticized, the mask cracks and the ego panics, for its only directive is to maintain its own integrity. We live in constant, low-grade fear, the fear that someone will see behind the mask and discover the truth, that we are not the powerful, confident, put-together character we pretend to be. This is the great inner conflict, the silent civil war that rages within. There is a part of you, your soul, your authentic self, that wants nothing more than to take off the mask. It suffocates beneath the weight of pretense. It longs to be seen, known, and loved for what it truly is, imperfect, vulnerable, real. It yearns for authentic connection, for moments of genuine expression, for the simple freedom of being. But the ego, the fearful protector, screams in protest. To the ego, taking off the mask is suicide. It believes that without its protection, you will be judged, rejected, and cast out. It tells you, don't be too vulnerable. They will take advantage of you. Don't say what you really think. They won't like you. Don't show your weakness. They will lose respect for you. And so you are torn. You go to a social gathering and you put on the charming, witty mask. You go to work and you put on the competent, efficient mask. You are with your family and you put on the responsible, caring mask. It is utterly exhausting. It is a betrayal of the self, repeated 1,000 times a day. And the unfamiliar face in the mirror is the face of this exhaustion, the face of someone who no longer knows where the mask ends and the skin begins. Listen closely to this truth. Let it land in the deepest part of you. You are not your job. You are not your bank account. You are not your relationships. You are not your past. You are not the praise or the criticism you receive. You are not the body you inhabit, and you are not the thoughts your mind produces. These things are possessions, experiences, and tools. They are not you. You are the silent, unchangeable awareness behind it all. You are the vast, empty sky. And all of these things, your thoughts, your roles, your emotions, are merely clouds that drift through. The sky does not become the cloud. The sky is not damaged by the storm. It is the space in which the storm happens. This is your true nature. It is inherently peaceful, whole, and free. It has never been born, and it can never die. To realize this is to find the only true and lasting security there is. Security that does not depend on a rising stock market or the approval of others. It is the security of coming home to your own immutable being. How then do we begin to loosen the grip of the ego and connect with this deeper self? We do it through the courageous practice of self-inquiry. We begin to use the mind not to create more labels, but to deconstruct them. The most powerful question you can ever ask is, who am I? Not as a philosophical riddle, but as a meditative tool. Sit quietly and ask, who am I? The mind will immediately offer its usual answers. I am John. I am a lawyer. I am tired. For each answer that arises, gently inquire further. If the answer is, I am John, you ask, who is aware of this name, John? If the answer is, I am a lawyer, you ask, who is aware of this role as a lawyer? Was I this lawyer before I went to law school? Will I be this lawyer when I retire? You are not looking for a new, better answer. You are using the question to exhaust the mind's ability to define you. You are looking for the space before the answer, the silent awareness that is the source of all experience. Try this. Take a piece of paper. On one side, write down all the roles you play, all the labels you identify with: mother, engineer, anxious person, spiritual seeker, homeowner. Be honest, be thorough. Then, turn the paper over. In the center of the blank page, put a single dot. That dot represents the observer, the silent witness, the real you. Now feel the difference. Feel the weight, the complexity, the limitations of that long list of roles. Then feel the simplicity, the openness, the freedom of that single point of awareness. This is your work, to continually shift your identification from the list to the dot, from the story to the storyteller, from the character to the consciousness that is dreaming the character. The ego is like a heavy coat, sewn together from the patches of other people's expectations and your own past experiences. You have worn it for so long. You have forgotten the feeling of the sun and the wind on your own skin. Taking it off, even for a moment, can feel terrifyingly cold and vulnerable. But it is the only way to feel the warmth of your own inner fire. It is the only way to feel your own heartbeat, unmuffled by the thick fabric of a borrowed identity. The face in the mirror will start to become familiar again, not because the face changes, but because you are beginning to look at it with your own eyes, not the eyes of the world. You are beginning to see the eternal being that is looking out. This journey of peeling back the layers, of questioning the masks, inevitably leads to the next question. If this ego, this mask, this coat of patches, is essentially a story that I have been telling myself, where did this story come from? What are the threads it is woven from? And that is where we must go next, deep into the soil of the psyche, to unearth the invisible, powerful beliefs that give this entire illusion its form. You stand before the mirror having acknowledged the mask you wear. You have felt its weight, its suffocating embrace. You see that this identity, this ego, is not your true face, but a story you have been living. Now, we must ask the fundamental question. What ink is this story written with? What are the threads that weave this heavy coat of personality? The answer lies deeper than the surface of the mind, buried in the soil of your subconscious. We are going to unearth the invisible chains, that have tethered you to this false self. We are going to feel the weight of your core beliefs. A core belief is not a casual opinion. It is a foundational judgment you made about yourself, others, or the world, usually at a very young age. It was a child's attempt to make sense of a confusing reality, and because it was formed when you were most impressionable, it did not get filed away as a thought. It was installed as the operating system of your psyche. You no longer see it as a belief. You experience it as reality itself. If a child was only given affection after getting good grades, they may not think I believe my worth is conditional. They will simply feel, deep in their bones, a relentless, anxious drive to perform. The belief is the invisible engine driving the behavior. If a child experienced a chaotic or unpredictable home, they may not think I believe the world is unsafe. They will simply grow into an adult who is constantly scanning for threats, unable to relax, living in a state of low-grade, perpetual anxiety. These beliefs are the silent architects of your life. A core belief that says, I am not good enough, will ensure you sabotage your own success, because success would contradict the belief, and the ego's primary job is to prove its own stories right. A belief that says, I am unlovable, will cause you to either push people away before they can reject you, or to accept relationships where you are treated poorly, because it confirms your deepest sense of unworthiness. A belief that says, I must not make mistakes, will turn you into a perfectionist, paralyzed by the fear of failure, unable to take creative risks. These are the chains. They are invisible, but their weight is felt in every anxious heartbeat, every moment of self-doubt, every failed attempt to create lasting change. You have been trying to fly while chained to the floor. Here lies the profound and maddening conflict of this work. A part of you, the conscious, evolving you, knows these chains are limiting. You read books, you listen to talks like this one, and you feel a resonance with the idea of freedom. You desperately want to break free. But another part of you, the older, more primal part, finds a strange and terrible safety in this prison. The prison is familiar. You know its dimensions. You know its rules. The belief I'm not good enough is painful, but it's a predictable pain. You know how to live with it. To truly, deeply challenge that belief would mean stepping out of the cell into an unknown world. What if I am good enough? What would I have to do then? What risks would I have to take? What would I be responsible for? The uncertainty is so terrifying that the ego will often scramble back into the familiar misery of its cell, slamming the door shut behind it. Changing a core belief feels, to the psyche, like defying gravity. It feels like rewriting a law of your personal physics. The resistance is immense. But you must understand this. You cannot build a new reality on a rotten foundation. You cannot paint a masterpiece of a life over a canvas that is already filled with a dark, dreary landscape. The work is not to paint over it. The work is to strip the canvas bare. This is not about blame. It is not about cursing your past or your upbringing. Your parents and caregivers were likely living out their own unconscious beliefs. This is about taking radical, compassionate responsibility for your inner world now. It is the ultimate act of adulthood, to consciously examine the foundational beliefs you were given as a child, and to decide, with the wisdom you now possess, which ones you wish to keep. This is the work of a true creator, to become the conscious architect of your own soul. So, how do we begin this excavation? How do we find these roots that are buried so deep? We use a tool of compassionate curiosity. It is a practice sometimes called the 5 whys. It is a gentle but persistent digging. It begins when you notice a strong negative emotional charge. Let us say you feel a wave of intense anxiety about a new opportunity at work. You stop, you breathe, and you ask the first question, why do I feel this anxiety? The surface mind might answer, because I'm afraid I'll fail. A good start. Now, go deeper. You ask the second question, why am I afraid I'll fail? The mind might offer, because if I fail, everyone will see that I'm not as smart as they think I am. We are getting closer. Ask the third question, why do I fear them seeing that? The answer might be, because I have to be the smart one, the competent one. That's my role. Now the fourth question, going to the heart of it. Why must I be the smart, competent one? A deeper feeling arises, perhaps a memory or a sensation. The answer comes, because if I'm not, I have no value. And now, the final, deepest inquiry. The fifth, why? Why do I believe my value is dependent on being smart and competent? And there, in the quiet that follows, the root is exposed. A quiet, powerful knowing emerges. Because I believe that I must earn my right to exist. That love and safety are conditional upon my performance. That right there is a core belief. It is not a fleeting thought. It is a foundational pillar of your perceived reality. And simply seeing it, bringing it from the darkness of the subconscious into the light of your conscious awareness, is an act of incredible power. You have made the invisible visible. The chain that was yanking you around is now lying on the floor in front of you. It still looks heavy, but it is no longer attached to you in the same unconscious way. Think of yourself as a great and ancient tree. For years, you have not grown as tall as you could. Your leaves have not been as vibrant. You have been searching for the problem in your branches, in your leaves, wondering if you need more sun, more water. But the problem lies beneath the surface. Your roots, the core beliefs of your being, have wrapped themselves around pockets of toxic, barren soil. They are drawing up poison instead of nourishment. This work, this self-inquiry, is the slow, deliberate, and sometimes painful process of getting on your hands and knees. It is about digging into the earth of your own history. You must gently loosen the soil, identify those toxic roots, and have the courage to pull them out. When you pull one, the whole tree might tremble. It will feel disorienting. But it is the only way to free your root system to grow into the rich, fertile soil of what is actually true. That you are inherently worthy, that you are whole, that you are safe. Each unearthed belief is a root untangled. It is a channel cleared for your true life force to flow. And as you follow these roots, as you trace their path back through the soil, you will find they all lead somewhere. They lead back into the landscape of your past, to the very moments where these painful conclusions about life were first formed. And so, our journey must now take us there, into the flowing, treacherous, and ultimately healing river of memory. You have dug into the soil of your psyche and found the roots of your limiting beliefs. You have held them in the light of your awareness. As you trace these roots back, you find they do not end in the soil. They lead you to the edge of a great and powerful river, the river of your own memory. This river carries everything. It holds the sun-dappled afternoons of childhood laughter, the sting of your first heartbreak, the quiet pride of accomplishment, and the cold, jagged stones of trauma and grief. We are taught to be afraid of this river. We are told to build a bridge and get over it, to not cry over spilled milk, to let the past be the past. And so, most of us spend our lives trying to dam this river, pretending it isn't there, building our homes far from its shores. Yet, we can feel its current pulling at the foundations of everything we build. We must first understand the crucial difference between remembering and reliving. Reliving is what happens when the dam of denial inevitably cracks. A stray sound, a particular smell, a tone of voice, and suddenly a torrent of the past floods the present moment. Your heart pounds, your palms sweat, your throat tightens. Your body's ancient intelligence does not know the difference between a memory and a current event. It believes the danger, the abandonment, the humiliation is happening all over again. This is the nature of unhealed trauma. It is not something that is in the past. It is a ghost that haunts the present, a recurring nightmare from which you never seem to wake. It is why you find yourself in the same dysfunctional relationship patterns, reacting with disproportionate anger to minor slights, or feeling a constant, nameless dread that you cannot explain. You are not reacting to what is happening now. You are reacting to the ghost of what happened then. You are drowning in the river of memory. Remembering, true remembering, is something else entirely. It is the sacred art of becoming the witness. It is learning to sit peacefully on the riverbank and watch the water flow by. You see the log of a painful memory float past. You can observe its texture, its size, its shape. You can acknowledge, yes, that was a difficult, painful time, but you do not jump into the water to wrestle with it. You do not try to push it away or pull it ashore. You simply allow it to float by, knowing that you are not the log. You are the observer, safe on the bank. In this space of witnessing, the memory loses its emotional charge. It is no longer a source of active pain, but a source of information, of wisdom. It becomes a part of your story, but it is no longer the entire story. Healing the past is not about erasing it. It is about graduating from being a character trapped in the drama to becoming the wise, compassionate audience. The inner conflict here is immense. The mind, the ego, screams that this is a terrible idea. It insists, if you go back there, if you look at that pain directly, it will destroy you. You will drown for sure. There is a powerful, instinctual desire to simply forget, to force amnesia upon ourselves. But the soul knows this is a lie. The soul knows that what we do not transform, we transmit. What we do not heal, we replay. The pressure behind the dam builds and builds, leaking out as anxiety, as depression, as physical illness, as addiction. The energy of the past is still trapped in your system, and it demands to be seen. The choice is not between feeling the pain or not feeling the pain. The choice is between feeling it in uncontrollable, destructive bursts of reliving, or feeling it consciously, safely, and intentionally in order to finally release it. The most liberating truth you can embrace is this: the past is a place of reference, not a place of residence. Its purpose is to teach you, not to define you. You cannot change a single thing that happened. The screenplay is written, but you have the absolute power to change your relationship with what happened. You can change the meaning you give it. You can change the story you tell yourself about it. This is where your freedom lies. It is not in fighting the unchangeable, but in transforming yourself in the present moment. How do we do this? We begin with the practice of forgiveness. Now, let go of everything you have ever been told about this word. Forgiveness, in this context, has nothing to do with the other person. It is not about condoning their behavior. It is not about letting them off the hook. They are on their own journey, dealing with their own karma. This forgiveness is a profoundly selfish act. It is for you. Resentment is a poison you drink, hoping the other person will die. Forgiveness is you deciding to finally put the poison down. It is you cutting the energetic cord that has kept you chained to the person or event that hurt you. It is a declaration of sovereignty over your own emotional well-being. A powerful way to access this is through the unsent letter. Find a quiet time and space, take a pen and paper, and write to the person who hurt you. Write to the parent who didn't know how to love you. Write to the partner who betrayed you. And do not hold back. Pour onto the page all the rage, all the grief, all the disappointment. Tell them exactly how their actions made you feel. Use the words you were never allowed to say. Do not edit. Do not judge. This is for your eyes only. Empty the venom from your soul. And when you are done, when there is nothing left to say, you can write a second letter. This one is to your younger self, the one who endured that pain. Tell that child that you see them, that you are here for them now. Tell them it wasn't their fault. Give them the love, the protection, and the validation they never received. When you have finished, take these letters and release them. You can burn them safely, watching the smoke carry the old pain away. You can tear them into 1,000 pieces and let the wind scatter them. This is a ritual of release. You are returning the energy of the past to the universe, and you are reclaiming your own. As you do this work, you learn to become the observer on the bank. You see the memories as boats on the river, The boat of your childhood trauma floats by. You watch it. The boat of your first love follows. You watch it. You do not need to board them. You are safe. You are here, now, on the solid ground of the present moment. The river does not control you. It flows through the landscape of your being, but it is not you. As you find peace with this, as you allow the river to flow without being swept away, you begin to notice something new. You notice that much of your life, much of your frantic activity, has been a reaction to this river. The relentless striving, the desperate chase for more money, more success, more love it, has been an attempt to outrun the ghosts of the past, to find a future so bright it will finally burn away the old shadows. Now that the shadows are losing their power, you can finally turn and face this forward momentum. You can finally ask the question, what is this hunger that drives me? What is this endless desire for more? You have sat on the banks of the river of memory, and you have let the past flow without drowning. A measure of peace has been found by discharging the energy of what was. But as you turn your gaze from the past, you are met with a different force, a frantic, forward-leaning wind that pushes you relentlessly into the future. It is the great hunger of the modern soul, the insatiable craving for more success, more validation, more experiences, more things. It is the pervasive feeling that you have not yet arrived, that true happiness is just over the next hill, behind the next promotion, within the next relationship. This is the engine of the world, the fuel for the great rat race, and it is the most elegant and exhausting trap ever devised for human consciousness. Let us dissect this cycle, for it operates with the precision of a flawless machine. It begins with a manufactured lack. You are subtly convinced, by society, by advertising, by the curated lives you see on screens, that you are incomplete. A void is identified. Then, an object of desire is presented as the solution. When I get that promotion, the mind insists, I will finally feel secure. When I lose 10 pounds, I will finally feel lovable. When I own that house, I will finally feel at home. This promise of future fulfillment becomes your singular focus. You pour your life energy into the chase, sacrificing the peace of the present moment on the altar of a future prize. You work longer hours, you neglect your health, you postpone joy. You exist in a state of not yet, believing that real life will begin once the goal is achieved. And then, you achieve it. The promotion comes through. You buy the house. You reach the goal weight. For a moment, there is a flood of relief, a hit of pleasure, a temporary inflation of the ego. This is it. You have arrived. But the moment is shockingly fleeting. The pleasurable high subsides, often within days or even hours, and the familiar underlying sense of unease begins to creep back in. The new car becomes just a car that gets you to work. The new job becomes just a set of responsibilities and pressures. The fundamental feeling of lack was never actually touched, and so the mind, terrified of this emptiness, immediately begins to scan the horizon for a new target. Well, the promotion was nice, but to be really secure, I need to become a vice president. The machine resets, the hunger returns, and the frantic chase begins anew. This is not a personal failing. It is the very nature of desire when its object is placed in the external world. It is a game rigged against you, a race with a finish line that moves every time you approach it. The inner conflict this creates is soul-crushing. Every external voice in our culture is screaming a single hypnotic message: you are not enough as you are. Happiness is something you must acquire. It is a mass psychosis. Yet, deep within you, there is an ancient, quiet wisdom, a whisper of intuition that knows this is a lie. This inner voice has watched you achieve goal after goal, only to find yourself back at the same starting point of discontent. It has felt the hollowness after the victory. It has sensed the futility of the chase. And so you live a life divided. You are running on the treadmill of worldly ambition, while a part of you is standing still, watching with a sad and knowing wisdom, whispering, "This is not the way." You are exhausted from playing a game you know you cannot win, but you have not yet been shown how to leave the table. This is the moment to stop and to absorb a truth so simple and so radical it can shatter the entire illusion. The feeling of emptiness you are trying to fill from the outside is not a void. It is not a sign that something is missing from you. It is a sacred space. And trying to cram it full of achievements, possessions, and the approval of others is like trying to carry water in a sieve. It is like trying to fix a deep soul wound with a cheap plastic bandage. The more you acquire, the more you highlight what you believe you lack. The entire premise is flawed. True, lasting contentment is not an additive process. It is a subtractive one. It is not about getting more, but about removing the layers of illusion that tell you that you are not already whole. The great secret is this: happiness is not getting what you want, but wanting what you have. This is not a call to mediocrity or a denial of healthy ambition. It is a revolution in perspective. It is the difference between striving from a place of lack and creating from a place of fullness. How do we cultivate this state? We begin with the most powerful antidote to the poison of more, the practice of active, embodied gratitude. Tonight, before you sleep, put your phone away. Take a notebook and a pen, and instead of letting your mind ruminate on all the things you lack, all the problems you must solve, deliberately redirect its focus. Your task is to find 3 specific things from your day for which you are genuinely grateful. Do not be generic. Be specific. Not "I'm grateful for my family," but "I am grateful for the way my child laughed with their whole body today." Not "I'm grateful for my health," but "I am grateful for the feeling of my lungs filling with cool air on my walk this morning." As you write each one, close your eyes and do not just think it. Feel it. Let the sensation of gratitude, however subtle, permeate your body. Feel the warmth, the softness, the quiet joy of it. In that moment, you are full. In that moment, there is no lack. This practice, done consistently, retrains your entire nervous system. It teaches your mind to scan for evidence of beauty and abundance rather than for evidence of scarcity and problems. The second practice is to become an observer of desire itself. When a strong craving arises for a new gadget, for praise, for a particular food, do not immediately act and do not immediately suppress. Instead, just watch it, greet it like a curious scientist. Ah, desire has come to visit. Where do you feel it in your body? As a tightness in your chest, an emptiness in your stomach? What is the story it is whispering to you? If you have this, you will be happy, you will be safe, you will be admired. Simply watch the story and feel the sensation without becoming them. You will discover that desire is like a wave. It rises with incredible power, but if you do not feed it with your attention and belief, it will crest and inevitably it will fall. You are not the wave. You are the deep, calm ocean beneath. The world offers you an endless ocean of salty water. It sparkles, and it promises to quench your thirst for happiness. But you have drunk from it time and time again, and it has only ever left you thirstier. The more you drink, the more dehydrated your soul becomes. This is the great turning point, the realization that the entire ocean of the external world cannot give you what you are looking for. The answer is not out there. It never was. You must stop drinking the salt water. You must turn away from the noisy, glittering ocean of the world's promises and begin the journey inward to find the hidden, freshwater spring within your own being. It has been there all along, waiting. But to find it, you must become very, very still. You must learn the architecture of silence. For it is only in the deepest quiet that you can finally hear the gentle bubbling of the wellspring of your own eternal nature. You have stood at the edge of the saltwater ocean of desire and made the courageous choice to turn away. You have recognized that the endless chase for more can never quench your true thirst. And so, you turn inward, seeking the freshwater spring. But the path to that inner wellspring is not through a landscape of striving and action. The path begins by entering a realm our modern world has all but forgotten, a realm it fears and misunderstands. We must now learn to enter the architecture of silence, and within it, to build our own inner sanctuary. In our culture, silence has become a vacuum, an awkward pause in a conversation, a dead space to be filled with noise as quickly as possible. We treat it as an emptiness, a nothingness. This is the first great illusion we must dismantle. Silence is not empty, it is infinitely full. It is the very container in which all sound, all thought, all creation is born. Silence is the canvas, and the universe is the painting. Without the silent canvas, no image could ever appear. Without the quiet stillness of the night sky, we could never perceive the light of the stars. Silence is not the absence of something, it is the presence of everything. It is the primal, foundational state of consciousness itself. It is the fertile, dark soil from which all true insight, intuition, and creativity sprouts. But we have become terrified of this fertile ground. We have paved it over with the concrete of constant noise and distraction. And we wonder why our souls feel so barren. We fear silence because it is the great unhider. It strips away all our comfortable illusions and leaves us naked with what is. In the noise, we can pretend. We can be the busy professional, the witty friend, the responsible parent. We can lose ourselves in tasks, in entertainment, in the drama of the world. But in silence, there is nowhere to run. The masks fall away. The roles dissolve. We are left alone with the raw, unfiltered energy of our own being. We are forced to feel the subtle anxieties we have been suppressing, the quiet grief we have not processed, the deep longings we have told ourselves are impractical. We use noise as a constant, low-grade anesthetic to numb ourselves to the state of our own soul. To voluntarily enter silence is to agree to let the anesthetic wear off. It is an act of immense courage. This brings us to the central conflict of the inward journey, the war between doing and being. Your mind, conditioned by a lifetime of external validation, is a machine built for doing. It analyzes, it plans, it worries, it remembers, it rehearses. Its entire sense of worth is derived from its productivity. To the mind, sitting still and doing nothing is a form of death. It is lazy, inefficient, and a waste of precious time. The moment you decide to be still, this doing machine will launch a full-scale rebellion. It will flood you with an endless list of urgent tasks. It will remind you of emails you forgot to send, conversations you need to have, problems you need to solve. It will create a physical restlessness in your body, an almost unbearable itch to get up and do something. The soul, however, operates on a completely different economy. It finds its nourishment not in doing, but in being. It does not need a purpose or a goal to justify its existence. Its purpose is existence itself. It craves stillness, presence, and simple, unadorned awareness. This conflict is why so many people try meditation once and declare, "I can't do it. My mind is too busy." They mistake the mind's initial, predictable rebellion for a personal failure. They do not realize that observing this rebellion is the practice. The goal is not to violently silence the mind. The goal is to create a space of being so vast and so accepting that the mind's frantic doing eventually, naturally, begins to settle, like dust falling in a still room. Listen to this, for it is the key to this sanctuary. In silence, you lose nothing of value. You only shed that which is not truly you. You lose the weight of your persona. You lose the grip of your anxieties. You lose the incessant chatter of the inner critic. What is left when all of that falls away? You are left, the real you, the silent, conscious presence that was there before the first thought and will be there after the last. It is in this expansive quiet that you can finally hear the universe. The universe does not shout. It speaks in the subtlest of whispers, a sudden intuitive flash, a creative insight, a deep sense of knowing that arises from nowhere. If you are living your life inside a hurricane of noise, you will miss all of it. You will miss the guidance. You will miss the wisdom. You will miss the gentle call of your own soul, beckoning you home. So how do we begin to build this sanctuary? We start by making it real, both in our environment and in our intention. First, go to nature's cathedral. Find a park, a forest, a beach, a place where the sounds of humanity are faint and the sounds of the earth are clear. Go alone and leave your phone behind. This is non-negotiable. Do not go to hike or to exercise. Go to sit. Find a comfortable spot and simply become a vessel for listening. Listen to the intricate symphony of the wind moving through the leaves. Listen to the percussive rhythm of a woodpecker, the distant call of a bird. Feel the silence that holds all these sounds. You are retuning your senses to a more ancient and truthful frequency. Second, create a sacred corner in your own home. It does not need to be an entire room. It can be a single chair, a cushion on the floor, a small patch of rug by a window. This becomes your designated space for silence. By returning to the same spot each day, you create a powerful anchor for your practice. Your body and mind will learn that when you enter this space, you are entering a different mode of being. It is a signal to the frantic doer within that it is safe to rest for a while. Finally, you must practice the radical art of doing nothing. Start with just 5 minutes. Sit in your sacred corner, set a gentle timer, and give yourself absolute permission to be unproductive. Your mind will wander. That is what it does. It will produce thoughts, as a gland produces hormones. Do not fight them. Do not judge them. When you notice you have been carried away by a stream of thought, simply and gently acknowledge it thinking and return your awareness to the feeling of your own breath. You may have to do this 100 times in 5 minutes. This is not 100 failures. This is 100 homecomings. The practice is not in staying thought-free. The practice is in the gentle, compassionate act of returning again and again to the stillness. Think of your mind as a room. For years, the windows have been shuttered, the doors locked, and a cacophony of noise has been blasting from speakers. You have lived in this dark, chaotic space for so long, you have forgotten there is anything else. The practice of silence is the act of walking to the speakers and turning the volume down, notch by notch. It is prying open one of the shutters to let a sliver of light in. It is cracking open the door to feel a breath of fresh air. At first, it is disorienting. But as you continue, the room becomes quieter, the light becomes brighter. You can finally breathe. And in this newfound quiet and clarity, you begin to notice more subtle things. You can feel the temperature of the room changing. You can feel the subtle currents of air. You begin to feel the inner weather of your own soul, the shifting, powerful, and often turbulent systems of your emotions. Now that the roar of thought has subsided, you can finally feel the coming of the storm. You have built for yourself a small sanctuary of silence, a quiet room in the bustling metropolis of your mind. You have turned down the incessant noise of thought, and in this newfound stillness, you begin to perceive things you could not before. You start to feel the subtle shifts in the inner atmosphere, a sudden warmth of joy, a creeping chill of anxiety, a low-pressure system of grief. You have become sensitive to the weather of your soul. This weather is your emotions, and learning to navigate its storms without capsizing is the next stage of our journey. From a very young age, we are taught to divide our inner world into 2 categories: good emotions and bad emotions. Joy, happiness, excitement, and love are good. We welcome them. We strive for them. We post pictures of them online. Anger, sadness, fear, and jealousy are bad. We are taught to suppress them, to fix them, to apologize for them, or to numb them away as quickly as possible. This simple, childish division is the source of immeasurable suffering. It is a fundamental misunderstanding of our own nature. Emotions are not good or bad. They are simply information. They are messengers from the deepest part of your being, delivering vital intelligence about your inner state and your relationship with the world. Anger is a messenger that tells you a boundary has been violated. Sadness is a messenger that tells you something needs to be grieved and released. Fear is a messenger that tells you to pay attention, that your safety may be at risk. By labeling these messengers as bad, we do the equivalent of shooting the mailman because we don't like the mail. We ignore the vital information, and the energy of the message remains trapped within our system. Faced with these so-called negative emotions, we typically resort to one of two failed strategies. The first is suppression. We clench our jaw, we bite our tongue, we swallow the anger, we put on a brave face. We use logic to deny our feelings. I shouldn't be sad about this. Or we distract ourselves with work, food, or entertainment. But the energy of an emotion cannot be destroyed. When you suppress it, you are simply shoving it down into the basement of your body. It curdles there, turning into chronic muscle tension, headaches, digestive issues, and a constant low-grade anxiety. And eventually, the pressure in the basement builds until the door bursts open, resulting in a sudden, disproportionate emotional explosion that seems to come from nowhere. The second failed strategy is over-identification. This is the opposite of suppression. Here, we don't just feel the emotion, we become the emotion. We are completely consumed by it. We do not say, "I feel anger." We say, "I am angry." The emotion hijacks our identity. The anger becomes the lens through which we see the entire world. Every thought is an angry thought. Every word is an angry word. We are no longer a person experiencing a storm. We have become the storm itself, raging blindly and leaving a path of destruction in our wake. Both strategies, drowning in the storm or pretending it isn't happening, are forms of unconsciousness. Both lead to pain. The inner conflict, then, is born from a futile desire, the desire for a life of perfect, unchanging weather. We want a soul that is perpetually sunny, with a few light, fluffy clouds of happiness. We resist the rain, we curse the wind, we fear the lightning. We are in a constant, exhausting struggle against the natural, unpredictable, and necessary weather patterns of our own humanity. This resistance, this internal no to what is the true source of our suffering, far more than the emotions themselves. The sadness is not the problem. The problem is the desperate struggle to not be sad. Here is the truth that will set you free, the shift in identity that changes everything. You are not the weather, you are the sky. Your consciousness, your true self, is the vast, open, limitless sky. Emotions all of them air, simply weather patterns that pass through you. Joy is a bright, sunny day. Sadness is a soft, gentle rain. Anger is a powerful thunderstorm. Depression can feel like a thick, heavy fog. Some weather is pleasant, and some is uncomfortable. But the sky is never harmed by the weather. The sky does not become the storm. It is the vast, silent, accepting space in which the storm is allowed to happen. When you truly understand this, not just as an idea but as a lived reality, you are no longer at the mercy of your emotions. You have found your anchor in the sky of your own being. How do we cultivate this state of being the sky? We begin with the simple practice of emotional labeling. The next time a strong emotion arises, instead of suppressing it or being swept away by it, I want you to pause, take one conscious breath, and then, silently to yourself, name the emotion. Ah, sadness is here, or this is the feeling of anger, or I am aware of a wave of fear passing through me. This simple act is profoundly powerful. It creates a tiny wedge of space between you, the observer, and the emotion, the observed. You are no longer lost in the storm. You are the meteorologist, calmly noting its presence. This practice moves you out of the reactive, primal part of your brain and into the calm, witnessing consciousness of your higher self. Once you have named it, you go deeper. You move your attention from the story in your head about the emotion. He disrespected me, that's why I'm angry. And you bring your attention directly into your body. Ask yourself, where do I physically feel this anger? Is it a fire in your chest, a tightness in your throat, a clenching in your fists? Locate the raw, physical sensation of the emotion, and then, Simply be with that sensation. Do not try to change it or get rid of it. Just observe it with a curious and compassionate attention. Breathe into it. Imagine your breath surrounding the sensation, giving it space. What you will discover is that a raw emotion, when stripped of its mental storyline and simply allowed to be felt as pure energy in the body, cannot last for very long. It will crest, peak, and then naturally begin to dissipate. You are allowing the storm to rain itself out, instead of seeding the clouds with more angry thoughts. You are the sky, and you are learning to be spacious enough to hold any weather. The thunder of rage can roll through you, and you remain. The fog of despair can descend, and you remain. The brilliant sunlight of pure joy can shine, and you remain. You are the constant, the unchanging, the silent witness to it all. As you become more skilled at this, you begin to notice that each emotion is not just a psychological event, but an energetic one. Anger has a hot, sharp, fast frequency. Grief has a heavy, dense, slow frequency. Joy has a light, expansive, vibrant frequency. You are learning to feel the texture and the quality of energy itself. And this new sensitivity, this new awareness of your inner energetic state, is the gateway to the next level of understanding. For if every emotion is a form of energy with its own unique signature, what is the overall energetic signature of your being? What is the collective music that your soul is playing into the universe? You have sat within the sanctuary of your own silence, learning to be the calm, spacious sky for the passing weather of your emotions. In doing so, you have discovered that each emotion is not just a feeling, but a form of energy, each with its own unique texture and frequency. Now, we will zoom out from the individual weather patterns and look at the climate of your soul. We will explore the idea that your entire state of being, the sum total of your dominant thoughts, beliefs, and emotions, constantly emitting a signal, a resonance, a vibration. This is not esoteric fantasy. It is the deepest truth of your nature as a creator. At the most fundamental level, modern physics tells us that everything in the universe is energy. The chair you are sitting on, the air you are breathing, the body you inhabit, all of it, when viewed at a subatomic level, is just particles of energy vibrating at different frequencies. What makes a rock different from a flower is simply the rate and pattern of its vibration. You are no exception. You are a complex symphony of vibrating energy. But unlike a rock, you have a unique ability. You can consciously change your music. Your thoughts are not just idle, abstract things. Every thought is a tiny electrical impulse, an energetic event in the brain. Your emotions are powerful, chemical, and energetic floods that course through your body. A state of despair feels heavy, dense, and slow because it is a heavy, dense, slow vibration. A state of joy feels light, expansive, and fast because it is a light, expansive, fast vibration. The combination of these energies creates your overall state of being, and this state is broadcasting a frequency out into the quantum field of all possibility, 24 hours a day. This is where the ancient wisdom of like attracts like moves from a quaint proverb to a powerful operating manual for reality. This is the principle of resonance. If you take two guitars and tune them perfectly to each other, and you pluck the E string on one guitar, the E string on the other guitar across the room will begin to vibrate in sympathy without anyone touching it. It has no choice. It is a law of physics. It responds to the frequency it is tuned to. You are both the first guitar and the second. Your state of being is the note you are constantly playing. The universe, in its infinite intelligence, does not judge your song. It simply and unfailingly provides you with more experiences, people, and circumstances that match the frequency of the note you are holding. If you are constantly holding the note of victimhood, frustration, and lack, the universe will orchestrately bring you more reasons to feel like a victim, more people who frustrate you, and more experiences of lack. Not because it is punishing you, but because that is the frequency your receiver is tuned to. If you are holding the note of gratitude, compassion, and abundance, the universe will bring you more things to be grateful for, more opportunities to be compassionate, and more experiences of abundance. At this point, the rational mind, the ego, begins to protest loudly. It demands proof. It calls for scientific studies and logical explanations. It dismisses this as wishful thinking, as dangerous nonsense that blames victims for their misfortune. This skepticism is understandable. It is the mind's job to protect you based on the known physical world. And from that limited perspective, this sounds like madness. But another part of you, your deeper, intuitive self, feels a profound resonance of truth in these words. This part of you has always known this. It is why we speak of good vibes and bad vibes. It is why you feel a palpable heaviness in a room where an argument has just occurred. It is why you feel uplifted in the presence of a truly joyful person. Your intuition has always been able to read energy. The inner conflict, therefore, is a choice of allegiance. Do you give your full faith to the limited, skeptical mind that can only perceive the surface of things? Or do you have the courage to trust your own direct experience, your own deepest intuition, and begin to experiment with these deeper laws of being? This leads us to the most crucial and often misunderstood message in all of spiritual work. You do not attract what you want, you attract what you are. You can repeat affirmations for wealth 1,000 times a day, but if your deep underlying state of being is one of scarcity and fear, you are broadcasting scarcity and fear, and the universe will obediently match that frequency. You can visualize a loving partner, but if your core vibration is one of unworthiness and self-rejection, you will attract partners who mirror that back to you. The universe does not respond to the words you say. It responds to the music you embody, the energetic truth of who you are being in this moment. Therefore, the work is not to chase after things in the outer world. The work is to become, on an inner, energetic level, the person who is a natural match for the reality you desire. To change the world, you must first change your frequency. How do we begin this work of becoming a conscious vibrational tuner? We start by auditing our vibrational diet. Become ruthlessly aware of what you are consuming every day, for everything you take in either raises or lowers your frequency. Look at the food you eat. Is it vibrant, living, and full of sunlight, or is it processed, dead, and full of chemicals? Look at the information you consume. Are you doom-scrolling through fear-based news and cynical social media? Or are you reading and watching content that inspires, educates, and uplifts you? Look at the people you spend time with. Do they leave you feeling drained and heavy, or energized and seen? Look at your physical environment. Is it cluttered, chaotic, and stagnant? Or is it clean, ordered, and filled with beauty? Each of these is a choice that tunes your instrument. More profoundly, you must learn to generate the feeling first. This is the master key. Do not wait for a reason to be happy. Do not wait for the world to give you permission to feel peace. That is the old model of cause and effect. You are a creator, not a reactor. The new model is to be the cause. Can you, right now, close your eyes and remember what peace feels like? Can you recall the sensation of profound calm and allow that feeling to blossom in your chest without any external reason? Can you remember what overwhelming love feels like, perhaps the love for a child, a pet, or a beautiful piece of art? And let that feeling saturate every cell of your being. When you do this, you become the struck tuning fork. You are no longer waiting for the world to play you a beautiful song. You are playing your beautiful song into the world, and by the law of resonance, the world must and will begin to harmonize with you. You are a living instrument, a tuning fork of consciousness planted in the garden of the cosmos. For too long, you have allowed the random, chaotic noise of the world to determine your vibration. You have resonated with fear, with lack, with division, but you are now awakening to your true nature. You are the musician. You have the power to choose your note. You can decide to hold the frequency of love, of clarity, of wholeness, regardless of outer circumstances. But to do this requires more than a fleeting wish. It requires a focused will. It requires the ability to gather the scattered light of your awareness into a single, powerful beam. It requires intention. If you are the tuning fork, what is the hand that strikes it? And if you are the musician, what directs your hand to play one note instead of another? It is the clear, unwavering arrow of your focused consciousness. You have awakened to your nature as a vibrational being, a living instrument playing a song into the cosmos. You understand that to change the symphony of your life, you must change your inner music. But how? How do you consciously choose your frequency? How do you move from the dense vibration of fear to the light vibration of love? The answer lies in the most potent, most underutilized creative technology in the universe, the focused power of your own consciousness. We must now move from understanding energy to directing it. We must learn to use the arrow of intention. Let us first draw a clear distinction. Intention is not the same as idle wishing. Wishing is passive. It is a weak, plaintive complaint directed at the universe. I wish I had a better job. It carries an energy of lack and powerlessness. It is the sigh of a victim. Intention, on the other hand, is active, electric, and potent. It is a conscious, deliberate, and focused command. It is a decision to which you align your entire being. It does not say, I wish. It declares, it is my intention to experience. It is the voice of a creator. Nor is intention the same as simplistic positive thinking, which is often just a fragile layer of nice thoughts papered over a foundation of fear. Intention is not a mask, it is a force. It is a thought that has been infused with the fire of emotion and held steady by the unwavering light of your attention. The primary conflict we face in wielding this power is the fragmented state of our modern mind. Your attention, the very beam of your creative energy, is being shattered and scattered into 1,000 pieces every day. It is pulled by the notification on your phone, by the worry about tomorrow's meeting, by the memory of yesterday's argument, by the endless scroll of social media. Your divine, creative life force is being dissipated, leaked away into 1,000 trivialities. It is like trying to fill a bucket with a hose that has 100 tiny holes in it. None of the streams are powerful enough to make a difference. To create meaningful change requires a focused, coherent stream of energy. It requires that you gather the scattered fragments of your attention and forge them into a single, laser-like beam. This is an act of will, a rebellion against the culture of distraction. Compounding this is the ego's profound impatience. The ego operates in linear time and demands immediate results. When you set a powerful intention, you are planting a seed in the quantum field. The ego, like a restless child, wants to see the full-grown tree tomorrow. When it doesn't appear, the ego declares the process a failure, uproots the seed to see if it's growing, and abandons the practice. This is the inner conflict, the soul's desire to create versus the mind's lack of discipline and the ego's lack of faith. It is the desire to be a master archer without the willingness to practice the simple, steady act of holding the bow. To overcome this, you must absorb this fundamental law of consciousness into your very bones. Where attention goes, energy flows. Your attention is the currency of your reality. Whatever you place your sustained focus upon, you are nourishing with your life force. You are voting for it with your energy. If your attention is habitually on what is wrong with your life, you are actively energizing and sustaining that reality. If you choose, deliberately, to place your attention on what you intend to create, you are withdrawing your energy from the unwanted reality and channeling it into the new one. Your intention is the rudder of the ship of your life. For too long you have let your hands fall from the wheel. You have not been merely adrift, you have been steered by the powerful, chaotic currents of collective consciousness. by the winds of media, and by the old, habitual patterns of your own subconscious mind. To set an intention is to firmly grasp the rudder once more and declare, "I am the one who steers." How do we make this profound power a practical part of our daily lives? We start not with grand, life-altering intentions, but with the simple, sacred act of setting the tone for our day. When you wake up, before you reach for your phone, before you invite the chaos of the world into your mind, take 60 seconds for yourself. Close your eyes, place a hand on your heart, and set an intention for your state of being. Do not focus on what you need to do, but on who you intend to be. Your intention could be, "Today, my intention is to remain in a state of peace, regardless of external events." Or, "Today, I intend to see the good in everyone I meet." Or, "Today, I intend to move through my tasks with ease and grace." You are setting your vibrational keynote for the day. Write it down. Place it where you can see it. When you feel yourself being pulled off course by stress or negativity, your written intention serves as a lighthouse, guiding you back to the course you consciously chose. This is how you train your will. This is how you strengthen your focus. Imagine your intention is an arrow. The process of clarifying what you truly desire, not what your ego wants, but what your soul longs for, is the act of selecting a target. The act of gathering your mental and emotional energy is the drawing of the bowstring. The clearer your vision, the tighter the string is pulled. The emotion, the feeling of the wish already fulfilled, is the immense potential energy stored in the drawn bow. A thought alone is a limp arrow that will fall at your feet. A thought fused with the powerful emotion of gratitude, love, or joy is an arrow that will fly with incredible force. And your sustained focus, your ability to hold this vision in your mind's eye without wavering, is the steady, unwavering aim of the archer. Then comes the most crucial part of the process, the part that connects us to an even deeper wisdom, the release. Once the archer has aimed with all the focus and power they can muster, they do not run after the arrow, trying to correct its course in mid-air. That would be absurd. They let it go. They trust the physics of the arrow. They trust their aim. They trust that they have done their part. And now the forces of the universe, the wind, the air, the gravity, will play their part. This is the paradox of creation. It requires both the intense, focused application of will and the complete, trusting surrender of control. You must hold your intention with unwavering clarity in your mind, but you must release your attachment to the specific timing and form of its manifestation. You must be the master archer who sets the arrow's flight, and then you must learn the wisdom of lowering the bow, trusting that the arrow will find its mark in a way that is perhaps more perfect and beautiful than your limited mind could have ever conceived. You have learned to gather your focus, to aim the arrow of your intention with clarity and power. You have pulled back the bowstring, infused your vision with feeling, and with a clean release, you have sent your intention into the vastness of the quantum field. And now comes the most subtle, the most misunderstood, and the most profoundly liberating practice of all. You must learn to lower the bow. You must master the sacred art of surrender. This is the moment you stop trying to control the arrow's flight and begin to dance with the flow of life itself. In a world that glorifies struggle, effort, and control, the word surrender is deeply misunderstood. The ego hears it and recoils in horror, for it equates surrender with defeat, with weakness, with giving up. It conjures images of a white flag waved in battle. This is the ego's primary delusion. True spiritual surrender is not an act of weakness. It is an act of supreme intelligence and strength. It is not passivity. It is a wise and conscious alignment with a power far greater than your own limited mind. Surrender is the courageous choice to stop fighting reality. It is the wisdom to discern between what is in your power to change and what is not, and to cease your exhausting war with the latter. You can control the effort you put in. You cannot control the outcome. You can control the kindness you offer. You cannot control how it is received. You can set your intention. You cannot dictate the timing or the manner of its unfolding. Surrender is the graceful release of your grip on all that lies outside your true dominion. The inner conflict this provokes is perhaps the most fundamental of all. It is the ultimate battle between the ego and the soul. The ego is a master strategist, a control freak. Its prime directive is survival, and it believes that survival depends on managing, predicting, and manipulating every variable. It constructs elaborate 5-year plans. It worries incessantly about 1,000 possible futures. It replays past mistakes to find a different strategy. The ego lives in a state of perpetual tension, for it has taken on the impossible burden of managing the entire universe. It believes that if it lets go of the controls for even 1 second, the entire ship will crash. For the ego, uncertainty is synonymous with death. The soul, however, lives from a place of profound trust. It knows that it is not separate from the river of life, but is a current within it. It understands that there is an intelligence woven into the fabric of the cosmos that is infinitely more vast and wise than the strategic planning of any one individual mind. The soul is not afraid of the unknown. It recognizes it as the field of all possibility. It is not afraid of mystery. It revels in it. And so, the conflict rages. Your ego tells you to tighten your grip, to worry more, to plan harder. Your soul whispers for you to relax, to trust, to let go. This inner war is the source of all anxiety, all stress, all burnout. It is the feeling of trying to swim upstream against a powerful current. It is utterly exhausting, and ultimately, it is futile. The core message that brings peace to this war is a simple yet world-altering principle. When you stop resisting life, life stops resisting you. The energy you expend fighting what is the traffic jam, the difficult colleague, the unexpected bill is phenomenal. It is a massive drain of your vital life force. When you consciously choose to stop this inner war, to say yes to the reality of this moment, even if you don't like it, all of that wasted energy is liberated. It becomes available for creativity, for love, for joy. Surrender is not a passive state in which life happens to you. It is an active, cooperative state in which life is allowed to flow through you. You cease to be an obstacle to the universal intelligence and instead become its willing partner, its conduit. You will be guided, supported, and carried in ways your controlling mind could never have orchestrated. So how do we practice this art in a world that screams at us to do the opposite? We start with the breath, and with a simple shift in our inner language. The next time you find yourself in a situation you are resisting, stuck in a long line, receiving criticism, facing a disappointment, notice the immediate tension in your body. The clenched jaw, the tight shoulders, the shallow breath. This is the posture of resistance. In that moment, before you react, take what I call a sacred pause. Take one deep, conscious breath, and as you exhale, silently repeat the mantra, I accept this moment exactly as it is. Or even more simply, yes. This is not a yes of approval. It is a yes of acknowledgement. Yes, this is happening. I will stop fighting the fact that this is happening. Feel the subtle but immediate release of tension in your body. You have not changed the external situation, but you have ended the inner war against it, which is the only part that was truly causing you to suffer. Another powerful practice is to consciously delineate your circles of control. Take a situation that is causing you stress. On a piece of paper, draw 2 columns. In the first column, write down every single aspect of the situation that you have direct control over. This list will usually be quite short. Your attitude, your response, your effort, the intentions you set. In the second column, list everything you do not have direct control over. This list will be much longer. The final outcome, other people's feelings and choices, the timing of events, the economy, the weather. The practice of surrender is to commit to pouring 100% of your energy into the first column and to consciously, deliberately, and repeatedly release your grip on the second. You are focusing your power where it matters and ceasing to waste it where it is useless. The most potent metaphor for this entire process is that of life as a river. For most of our lives, we are trying to swim against the current. We have a fixed idea of where we should be, and we struggle with all our might to get there, even when the river of life is clearly flowing in another direction. We are exhausted, we make little progress, and we are miserable. Some of us try to build dams, using denial and suppression to try and stop the flow altogether, which only builds a dangerous, unsustainable pressure. The art of surrender is the art of learning to float. It is the profound act of lying back, relaxing into the water, and trusting that it will support you. It is the realization that the river knows where it is going. It is flowing, inevitably, toward the great ocean of wholeness. This does not mean you are a helpless log. You are a conscious floater. You can use your hands to gently paddle, to steer yourself toward a sunny patch or away from a sharp rock. This is your intention. But you are no longer fighting the fundamental underlying direction of the flow. You are dancing with it. You are using its power rather than being a victim of it. And a remarkable thing happens when you learn to surrender to the flow of the river. You stop worrying about where you have come from and where you are going. Your entire awareness, your entire being, becomes absorbed in the felt experience of the water on your skin, the sun on your face, the sound of the current. By surrendering to the flow of life, you are delivered, fully and completely, into the only time life ever truly exists. You are delivered into the eternal, infinite power of the present moment. You have learned to dance with the river of life, to release the arrow of your intention and surrender to its flight. This art of surrender does not deposit you in a state of passive waiting. It delivers you to the only place where life has ever happened, where it is happening right now, and where it will ever happen. It delivers you, fully and completely, into the sacred, vibrant, and eternal reality of the present moment, the now. This is not a segment of time, a fleeting second, to be measured and discarded. It is the very fabric of existence, the timeless dimension in which your entire life unfolds. Our suffering arises from one primary cause: our refusal to live here. The human mind is a time-traveling machine, and it is rarely parked in the present. It spends most of its life oscillating between two phantom realms, the past and the future. The past is a museum of memories, and we wander its halls endlessly. We stand before the display case of our regrets, reliving mistakes, wishing we had said something different, done something different. We are haunted by the ghosts of old hurts, carrying the heavy chains of resentment and guilt. Or we linger in the sunlit rooms of nostalgia, pining for a better time that is gone forever, which only serves to make the present feel empty by comparison. In this way, we allow what no longer exists to govern our present-day happiness. When the mind is not in the past, it is rocketing into the future, a realm of pure projection and fantasy. It lives in a state of perpetual anxiety, worrying about 1,000 possible catastrophes that will almost certainly never occur. It rehearses conversations, plans for contingencies, and tries to control a future that is fundamentally uncontrollable. Or it creates an idealized future, a personal heaven where all our problems will be solved. When I retire, we tell ourselves, then I will have peace. When I find the perfect partner, then my life will begin. We treat the future as the real destination, and the present moment becomes nothing more than a tiresome, inconvenient bridge to get there. We are constantly living for the next moment, the next day, the next year. We eat our meals while thinking about our afternoon tasks. We spend time with our children while mentally composing an email. We are physically here, but our consciousness, our life force, is absent. We are living as ghosts in our own lives. This creates a profound inner conflict. Your soul, your deepest essence, can only live and breathe in the now. It is the only place you can feel joy, experience love, or create anything of value. Yet your mind, addicted to the psychological time of past and future, tells you that the now is unimportant, even boring. It is a deeply ingrained habit, this constant rush to the next thing. And it creates a palpable sense of anxiety, a feeling that life is slipping through your fingers like sand. And it is, because you are never truly where you are. You are always one step ahead or one step behind your own life. You must grasp this with every fiber of your being. All of your power is in the now. Not some of it, all of it. Not a single drop of your power exists in the past, for it is gone. Not a single drop of your power exists in the future, for it has not yet arrived. The only point of access you have to your life, to healing, to creativity, to peace, is this one, single, eternal moment. You cannot heal a past trauma in the past. You can only heal the memory of it by bringing compassionate awareness to it in your present consciousness. You cannot find happiness in the future. You can only discover it by becoming present to the small joys that are available to you right now. The present moment is not an obstacle on the way to the future. It is the destination. It is the only destination you will ever have. How do we break this powerful addiction to time travel and learn to inhabit our lives? We do not do it by thinking. We cannot think our way into the present moment. We must feel our way into it. The gateway to the now is through your senses. Your senses can only operate in the present. They cannot see yesterday or hear tomorrow. They are your anchors to reality. So right now, as you are listening, I invite you to practice, pause, and simply notice. What are 5 distinct things you can see around you? Name them silently to yourself. Don't label them with judgment, that messy pile. Just see them. A lamp, a crack in the wall, the color blue, the play of light. Now, what are 4 things you can physically feel? The pressure of the chair against your back, the texture of your clothes on your skin, the temperature of the air, the solid ground beneath your feet. Now, what are 3 things you can hear? The hum of an appliance, a distant siren, the sound of your own breathing. What are 2 things you can smell? What is 1 thing you can taste? In this moment of pure sensory awareness, where was your anxiety about the future? Where was your regret about the past? They were gone, because you were, for that one moment, fully present. You were home. You can turn any routine activity into a portal to the now. When you drink your next cup of tea or coffee, resist the urge to do anything else. Just drink the tea. Hold the warm cup in your hands and feel the heat. See the steam rising. Inhale the aroma before you take a sip. When you do sip, taste it fully. Feel the warm liquid in your mouth. You are not just drinking tea. You are having an intimate encounter with reality. When you wash the dishes, feel the warm water on your hands, see the iridescence of the soap bubbles, hear the sound of the plates clinking. Each moment, no matter how mundane, is an opportunity to come home. It is not about finding special spiritual moments. It is about making every ordinary moment sacred through the quality of your attention. Imagine time as a magnificent necklace made of countless pearls. The past is the string of pearls that has already passed through your fingers. You can look back at them, study them, learn from them, but you can never touch them again. The future is the string of pearls that has not yet reached you. They are shrouded in mist, their form still uncertain. Your entire life, the totality of your experience, consists only of this, the one, single, luminous pearl that is passing through your hands right now. This is it. This is your life. The practice of presence is the art of giving your full, loving, undivided attention to the pearl you are holding, to see its unique beauty, to feel its texture and its weight. It is the choice to stop yearning for the pearls that are gone, or fantasizing about the pearls to come, and to fall completely in love with the only one that is real. When you truly arrive in the now, something remarkable happens. Your awareness, which was once scattered in the abstract world of thought, naturally drops down. It drops out of your head and comes to rest fully and completely in your body. To be present is to inhabit your physical form. To feel the present moment through your senses is to experience life through the instrument of your body. You begin to notice the subtle language of your physical self, the quiet hum of vitality, the first whispers of fatigue, the subtle knots of tension. The journey into the eternal now is ultimately a journey home, into the magnificent, intelligent, and sacred temple that is your physical body. You have learned to anchor your awareness in the eternal now, stepping out of the phantom worlds of past and future. And where have you landed? You have landed here in the vibrant, tangible, living reality of your own body. For too long, we have treated the body as an afterthought, a beast of burden to be whipped into compliance, or a statue to be polished and perfected for the world's approval. We have lived in the attic of our minds, disconnected from the sacred temple below. The next stage of our homecoming is to walk down from that attic, to enter the holy rooms of our physical form, and to learn to listen to its profound and honest wisdom. Our modern culture has created a deep and painful schism between mind and body. The mind, with its endless ambitions and anxieties, has appointed itself the master. The body has been relegated to the role of a machine or a servant. It is a vehicle to get us to work, an instrument to carry out our will, an object whose appearance we constantly manipulate to gain acceptance. We live in our heads, identified with the ceaseless stream of thought, and we relate to our bodies only when they cause problems, when they feel pain, when they get sick, when they grow old. We treat the body's signals as an inconvenience. Fatigue is an enemy to be conquered with caffeine. Pain is a nuisance to be silenced with a pill. Sickness is a mechanical failure to be fixed by an expert, so we can get back to the important business of our mental lives. This is a profound and tragic misunderstanding. Your body is not a dumb machine. It is an infinitely intelligent, conscious organism with a wisdom that far surpasses that of your thinking mind. It is a living oracle, a perfect barometer of your inner emotional and psychological state. Your body keeps a completely honest score. It does not know how to lie. The anxiety your mind tries to ignore is stored as a knot in your stomach. The grief you never allowed yourself to feel is held as a tightness in your chest and throat. The chronic anger you have suppressed for years can manifest as high blood pressure or inflammation. Your body is your subconscious mind made visible. Its aches, its tensions, and its illnesses are not punishments or failures. They are messages. They are the loving, desperate whispers of your physical self, begging for your attention, begging for balance. This creates a deep inner conflict between the ambitions of the ego and the wisdom of the body. The ego wants to push through, to work late, to sacrifice sleep for success, to ignore the signals of exhaustion in pursuit of a goal. The ego sees the body's needs as weaknesses, as obstacles to be overcome. It is the tyrant king, demanding more and more from his kingdom without regard for the well-being of the land or its people. The body, on the other hand, operates on the immutable laws of nature. It seeks balance, homeostasis. It requires rest to repair, nourishment to build, movement to thrive, and stillness to integrate. It is the wise and patient land itself, which knows that after a period of sowing, there must be a period of growth, and after a harvest, the soil must be allowed to lie fallow. The burnout, the chronic fatigue, and the stress-related illnesses that plague our world are the direct result of this inner war. They are the signs of a kingdom on the verge of collapse, ruled by a king who has forgotten how to listen to the land. The core message that can heal this divide is one of reverence and partnership. Your body is constantly speaking to you. You must learn to listen to its whispers, so you do not have to hear its screams. You must shift your identity from being a mind that has a body to being a soul that is inhabiting a sacred temple. This temple is your only home in this lifetime. It is your anchor to the present moment. It is your most reliable truth teller. When you are faced with a decision, your mind can rationalize anything, but your body will give you the honest answer. A choice that is wrong for you will feel like a contraction, a tightness, a feeling of unease. A choice that is right for you will feel like an expansion, an openness, a sense of rightness in your very cells. Learning to trust this gut feeling is learning to trust the wisdom of the temple. How do we begin to listen after a lifetime of ignoring? We start by practicing the art of embodied awareness. The most direct way to do this is through a body scan meditation. Find a time when you can lie down and be undisturbed for 10 or 15 minutes. Close your eyes and bring the gentle, curious beam of your attention to the toes of your right foot. Don't try to change anything, just feel. What are the sensations present? Warmth? Tingling? Numbness? There is no right or wrong answer. You are simply bringing your awareness home to a long-neglected part of your kingdom. Then, slowly, move your attention to the sole of your foot, your heel, your ankle. Continue this process, inch by inch, through your entire body, your leg, your torso, your arms, your hands, your neck, your face, the crown of your head. You are not looking for problems. You are simply re-inhabiting your own skin with loving presence. If you find an area of tension, like in your shoulders or your jaw, do not try to force it to relax. Instead, just acknowledge it. Ah, there is tightness here. Then, imagine you can direct your breath into that area. Offer the tension your warm, accepting breath as a gift of peace. You are not demanding that it change. You are simply loving it as it is. Let your body be your garden. It is a sacred plot of earth you have been given to tend in this lifetime. Your thoughts, your beliefs, and your emotions are the seeds you are constantly planting. Fearful, angry thoughts plant weeds of stress and inflammation. Loving, peaceful thoughts plant flowers of vitality and ease. The way you care for your garden, food you eat, the rest you get, the way you move ease the water, the sunlight, and the nourishment you provide. A garden that is fed junk food, deprived of water, and never allowed to rest in the dark of night will not flourish. It will become sick and barren. A garden that is tended with love, given pure water and nutrient-rich soil, and allowed its natural cycles of activity and rest, will become a vibrant, flourishing oasis of life. You are the gardener. What kind of garden are you choosing to cultivate? To become a loving, dedicated gardener of this sacred temple requires a quality that goes beyond mere intention or desire. It requires the strength and consistency to show up every day, especially when you don't feel like it. It requires the power to choose the nourishing meal over the easy one, to choose an early night over another hour of stimulation, to choose a few moments of quiet stretching over scrolling on your phone. This quiet, consistent, day-by-day commitment to your own well-being has a name. It is the strength of your will. It is the power of self-discipline, not as an act of punishment, but as the ultimate expression of self-love. You have come home to your body, this sacred temple. You have recognized it not as a machine to be commanded, but as a garden to be lovingly tended. But a garden, no matter how sacred, requires a dedicated gardener. It requires someone to show up every day to pull the weeds, to provide the water, to ensure it receives the light. This act of showing up, this consistent, loving commitment to what serves your highest good, has a name that our culture has taught us to fear. That name is discipline. We must now reclaim this word, for it is not a chain, but the key to all true freedom. When you hear the word discipline, what comes to mind? For most, it conjures images of punishment, of joyless austerity, of a harsh drill sergeant or a stern schoolmaster. It feels like a force of restriction, a denial of pleasure, a war against our own nature. This is the first and most critical illusion we must shatter. Self-discipline is not self-punishment. It is the ultimate, most profound act of self-love. It is the wise, compassionate, future-oriented adult within you, taking the hand of the impulsive, pleasure-seeking child within you and saying, with infinite kindness, I love you too much to let you have what you want right now, because I know it will not lead to your true happiness. Choosing to go to bed on time instead of watching another episode is not punishment. It is a gift of energy and clarity to your future self. Choosing to meditate for 10 minutes when your mind feels like a runaway train is not a chore. It is an offering of peace to the person you will be for the rest of the day. Choosing to do the difficult work you have been procrastinating on is not cruelty. It is an act of liberation from the anxiety and guilt of avoidance. Discipline is you today, making a loving investment in the well-being of you tomorrow. The inner conflict here is as old as humanity itself. It is the primal battle between immediate gratification and long-term fulfillment. A part of you, the ego-driven, pleasure-seeking self, operates on a simple, animalistic principle: avoid pain, seek pleasure, right now. It is the part that wants the sugary snack, that wants to hit the snooze button, that wants the cheap dopamine hit of scrolling through a social media feed. It demands ease and comfort in this exact second, with no regard for the consequences. But there is another part of you, your higher self, your soul, that operates on a different timeline. It understands the law of cause and effect. It knows that true growth, true mastery, and true satisfaction are born from facing discomfort, from leaning into challenges, from delaying gratification. It knows that the momentary effort of practice leads to the lasting joy of skill. It knows that the momentary discomfort of honesty leads to the lasting peace of authentic relationships. Every single day, you are presented with hundreds of choices, and each one is a vote. You are either casting a vote for the path of immediate ease, which leads to long-term stagnation and regret, or you are casting a vote for the path of conscious effort, which leads to long-term strength and freedom. This leads us to a great paradox, a core message that turns our conventional understanding of freedom on its head. True freedom is not the liberty to do whatever you want. The person who is a slave to every impulsetto, their anger, their addiction, their laziness, is not free. They are a prisoner in a cell with invisible bars, yanked around by their own unmanaged appetites. True freedom is the power, the inner strength, to do the thing you have consciously decided is right for you, even when you don't feel like it. It is the ability to be the master of your own inner world, rather than its servant. The freedom you truly seek is the freedom to write the book, to build the body, to learn the language, to cultivate the peaceful mind. And discipline is the bridge that carries you from the island of your dreams and intentions to the mainland of your actual, lived reality. Without that bridge, your best intentions remain forever stranded, beautiful but unreachable. How do you build this bridge when your will feels weak and your habits of indulgence feel so strong? You do not start by trying to build a massive suspension bridge overnight. You start by laying a single, small stone perfectly. The secret to forging an unbreakable will is to start ridiculously, almost laughably, small. Do not commit to working out for an hour a day. Commit to doing one push-up. Do not commit to meditating for 30 minutes. Commit to sitting in silence for 1 minute. Do not commit to writing a novel. Commit to writing one single beautiful sentence. The point is not the magnitude of the action. The point is to create a new identity. The point is to teach yourself, at a fundamental level, that you are a person who does what they say they will do. Consistency is infinitely more powerful than intensity. Each time you keep one of these tiny promises to yourself, you are making a deposit into your account of self-trust. For years, perhaps, you have been making withdrawals from this account by setting big goals and then abandoning them, leaving you with the bankrupting belief that you are someone who fails, who cannot be trusted. We are now rebuilding that trust, one small, solid deposit at a time. This is how self-esteem is forged, not by telling yourself you're great, but by proving to yourself, through small, consistent actions, that you are reliable. Think of your will as a sword. In the beginning, it is just a lump of raw, soft iron. It has potential, but it is formless and unreliable. The desire you feel for growth, for a better life is the fire of the blacksmith's forge, heating the metal to make it malleable. Each tiny act of discipline, getting out of bed when the alarm rings, choosing water over soda, reading a page of a book, is a single deliberate blow from the blacksmith's hammer. Each blow, on its own, seems to do very little, but thousands of them, applied consistently, begin to shape, to flatten, to define the blade. The resistance you feel, the discomfort, the voice that whines, "I don't want to." This is the cold water in which the hot metal is plunged. It is this very shock of discomfort that tempers the steel, making it hard, strong, and resilient. Over time, through this patient, consistent process of fire, hammer, and water, that soft lump of iron is transformed into a sharp, gleaming sword, a will that is strong, reliable, and ready to be wielded in service of your highest aspirations. Once this sword is forged, once you have built a structure of loving discipline in your life, something miraculous begins to happen. The chaotic, scattered energy of your old impulses no longer runs rampant. It now has a container, a channel. You have created a stable foundation. And it is only on a stable foundation that a truly magnificent structure can be built. You have now created a vessel, strong and tempered, capable of holding something far more potent and volatile than your fleeting desires. You have created a space ready to receive the sacred fire of your true, undiluted passion. You have walked the path of the inner warrior, forging the sword of your will in the fires of loving discipline. You have built a stable structure in your life, a sacred temple founded on conscious choice and self-respect. And now, you stand within this temple, and you may ask, what is it for? Why have I built this? You have built it to house the most precious, most vital force of your being. You have built it to be a worthy container for the sacred fire within. We must now turn our attention to this fire, to rekindle the embers of your true and undiluted passion. Let us first clear away the ashes of misunderstanding that have smothered this flame. In our modern world, we are tormented by the quest to find our passion. We treat it like a hidden treasure or a winning lottery ticket, something external to us that, if found, will solve all our problems and make our lives meaningful. This frantic search, this trying on of different hobbies and careers like ill-fitting clothes, is a source of immense anxiety. It is based on a false premise. True passion is not something you find. It is something you uncover. It is not a thing you acquire. It is the natural, radiant energy of your most authentic self, which you allow to emerge once you have cleared away everything that is not you. It is the music that is left playing when the static of the ego, the weight of limiting beliefs, and the chilling winds of fear have been quieted. Your true passion is not necessarily a grand, dramatic calling. For some it may be, but for many, it is a much more subtle, pervasive quality. It is the unique, energetic signature of your soul in action. It may be a deep love for creating order and harmony. It may be a joyful gift for nurturing growth, whether in a garden, a child, or a student. It may be an innate ability to solve complex problems, or a talent for bringing beauty and comfort into a space. It is that which you do with a sense of timelessness, where the act itself is so engaging that the concepts of effort and reward dissolve. It is the natural expression of your dharma, your unique place in the cosmic pattern. It is not what you do, but the energy you are while you are doing it. This is where we encounter a profound inner conflict, a battle between the sacredness of passion and the profanity of the marketplace. Our culture has a powerful, insidious message. If you love doing something, you must monetize it. You must turn your play into a profession, your hobby into a hustle. The joy of baking must become a business with orders and deadlines. The love of painting must be validated by sales and gallery shows. The peace you find in teaching yoga must be packaged into a brand. This pressure to justify your joy through productivity and profit can be the very thing that extinguishes the flame. The moment your sacred play becomes burdened with the need for external validation, with the fear of failure, with the stress of competition, its very essence is corrupted. The soul is not interested in quarterly earnings or social media engagement. The soul is interested in one thing only: the sheer, unadulterated, purposeless joy of expression. The conflict is between your soul, which wants to play, and your ego, which demands that the play must be useful. The core message that will liberate you from this trap is this: your passion is not your profession. It is your presence. It is the quality of aliveness you bring to the world. Your passion is a signpost from your soul, pointing in the direction of your most authentic expression. Your only duty is to honor that direction, to follow that joyful energy, not because of where it might lead, but for the sake of the journey itself. The reward for your art is the feeling you get while you are creating it. The reward for your teaching is the moment of insight you see in another's eyes. The reward is not the destination. It is the feeling of being fully, vibrantly alive as you walk the path. You are here to be the most undiluted, authentic version of yourself, and your passion is the compass that points you home to that self, again and again. How do we reconnect with this compass after years of ignoring it? We must become archaeologists of our own childhood. Before the world told you who you should be, before you were taught what was practical, profitable, or prestigious, who were you? What did you love to do with a pure and unself-conscious heart? Take some time to sit quietly and travel back. What activities made you lose all track of time? Was it building intricate worlds with blocks? Was it drawing, painting, or making music? Was it taking things apart to see how they worked? Was it caring for injured animals or organizing your toys into perfect systems? Was it climbing trees, telling fantastical stories, or simply sitting and watching the clouds? Make a list. Do not judge it. Look for the underlying themes. The child who loved to organize their toys may have a deep passion for creating harmony and order. The child who told stories may have a gift for communication and connection. Within these forgotten joys lie the buried embers of your sacred fire. Now, take one of these rediscovered joys and engage in the radical act of a useless hobby. Schedule a small amount of time each week to engage in this activity with one sacred rule. There can be no goal other than the pleasure of the act itself. You do not have to become good at it. You do not have to show your creation to anyone. You do not have to post it online or figure out how to sell it. This is a private, holy communion between you and your soul. It is a deliberate act of rebellion against the tyranny of productivity. It is you telling yourself and the universe that your joy is its own justification. Think of your disciplined life as the temple you have so carefully built. And in the central chamber of that temple, there is a stone altar. On that altar, for your entire life, there has been a sacred fire. But over the years, the ashes of daily life have fallen upon it. The gray ash of responsibility, the heavy ash of other people's expectations, the dense ash of your own fear and self-doubt. The fire has been smothered. It has not gone out, but it has been reduced to a few glowing, barely visible embers. The work we have done until now, the meditation, the self-inquiry, the healing of the pastas, been the practice of gently, patiently, blowing away those layers of ash. It is not a forceful gale, but a soft, steady, loving breath. And as the ashes clear, the embers are exposed to the oxygen of your attention. They begin to glow a little brighter. As you feed them with the wood of your useless, joyful hobbies, a small flame flickers to life. This is your work now. To tend this flame, to protect it from the winds of criticism and the dampness of your own doubt, to give it the space and the reverence it deserves. You will find that as this fire grows stronger, it cannot be contained within the temple walls. A fire is not meant only to warm the one who tends it. Its very nature is to radiate, to give warmth, to cast light. The authentic expression of your passion will inevitably begin to touch the world around you. The joy you find in creating beauty will naturally be shared. The wisdom you cultivate will naturally be offered. The love that overflows from your own full heart will naturally seek to connect with others. This sacred fire was never meant just for you. A flame that shines only for itself is no flame at all. Its true purpose is to illuminate the path for others and to find, in the warm glow of connection, the reflection of its own divine light. The sacred fire of your passion has been rekindled. You have felt its warmth, its light, its undeniable aliveness, and you notice its nature. A fire is not meant to be hoarded. It seeks to radiate. It yearns to cast its light and share its warmth. This natural, outward movement of your authentic self now brings you to the threshold of the greatest of all illusions, the foundational myth upon which all human conflict is built, the illusion of separation. For years, you have lived as if you were an island, a solitary entity adrift in a world of other, separate islands. We will now dismantle that fortress of loneliness, brick by brick. The ego, your constructed self, thrives on separation. It is the very lens through which it perceives the world. Its primary tools for maintaining this illusion are comparison and judgment. The moment it encounters another, its program runs automatically. Am I better than them, or are they better than me? Am I richer, poorer, smarter, slower, more enlightened, less evolved? It creates a constant, exhausting calculus of status and hierarchy. From this comparison, judgment is born. They are wrong, and I am right. Their beliefs are foolish, and mine are sound. This creates a world of us versus them, a fragmented reality of competition and conflict. The ego needs this separation for its very survival, for if there is no other, then who is the self? This belief in being a separate, vulnerable entity is the root of all fear, all jealousy, and all loneliness. What you must come to understand is that the outer world, and particularly the other people in it, functions as a perfect, unflinching mirror for your own inner state. The people who trigger the most intense emotional reactions in you are your greatest teachers. That person whose arrogance infuriates you to no end, they may be mirroring back to you a deep-seated insecurity about your own worth, or perhaps they are displaying a confidence you have suppressed in yourself and secretly long for. That person you admire with an almost worshipful intensity, they are showing you your own dormant potential, the magnificent qualities within you that are waiting to be awakened. When you feel a strong charge, either positive or negative, toward another person, do not look outward. Look inward. Ask, what part of me is this person reflecting that I have not yet owned? Every interaction, from the most profound to the most mundane, becomes a sacred opportunity for self-discovery. The world is not happening to you, it is responding from you. This brings us to a deep and painful inner conflict, the soul's desperate yearning for connection versus the ego's mortal fear of it. At your core, you are a being hardwired for communion. Your soul craves empathy, intimacy, and the profound peace of being truly seen and accepted by another. But the ego, the fortress self, is terrified of this. To the ego, true intimacy feels like annihilation. It fears that if it lets another person get too close, it will be consumed, its identity will dissolve, its carefully constructed walls will be breached, and it will be left vulnerable to the unbearable pain of rejection. And so, it develops sophisticated defense mechanisms: cynicism, sarcasm, emotional unavailability, intellectual armor, and a preemptive judgment of others to keep them at a safe distance. This is the tragedy of the human condition: to be dying of thirst while standing in a river, to be crying out from loneliness while pushing away the very connection that would heal you. The core message that shatters this illusion is as simple as it is profound. We are waves, but we are one ocean. The idea of you as a separate self, an isolated being contained within your skin, is a trick of the senses. It is a valid, but very limited perspective. At a deeper level of reality, the same consciousness that animates you animates me. The same life force that beats your heart beats mine. The apparent differences, or bodies, our histories, our personalities, are like the unique shapes of individual waves on the surface of the sea. They are beautiful, distinct, and real in their own way. But they are all, without exception, made of the same water. They all arise from and return to the same one ocean. To truly know this is to have the experience of compassion, not as a moral duty, but as a simple recognition of kinship. It is to understand that another's pain is your pain, and another's joy is your joy. It is to realize that healing the world is an inside job, because the world is inside you. How do we begin to live from this place of unity? We start by changing the way we communicate. We practice the art of deep listening. The next time you are in a conversation, set a conscious intention to listen, not simply to formulate your own reply, but to truly understand. Put your own story, your own arguments, and your own need to be right on a shelf for a few moments. Listen past the words. What is the feeling being expressed? What is the unspoken need? Is this person seeking to be heard, to be validated, to feel safe? When you listen in this way, a conversation ceases to be a debate between two egos and becomes a communion between two souls. You create a sacred space of presence where true connection can occur. Try this simple, silent practice. The next time you are walking in a public place, allow your gaze to gently meet the eyes of a stranger for just a moment longer than is socially comfortable. In that brief instant, let go of all labels: man, woman, old, young, rich, poor. Simply see the being behind the eyes. Acknowledge, silently, there is a whole universe in there. A life of hopes, dreams, fears, and loves, just as complex and valid as my own. This is another me. In that moment of shared humanity, the walls of separation become thin, almost transparent, and you can practice holding the inner attitude of namaste. The divinity within me recognizes and bows to the divinity within you. Hold this thought as you interact with the difficult checkout clerk, the frustrating family member, the person you disagree with politically. It is an inner posture that allows you to look past the turbulent waves of their personality and see the deep, calm ocean of their true being. Let us hold this final metaphor. Humanity is a vast, ancient forest. From the surface, we appear to be a collection of separate, individual trees. We see our different heights, our different types of bark, the unique pattern of our branches. We compete for sunlight and space. This is the ego's view. But if you were to dig beneath the surface, you would discover a reality that is far more wondrous. You would find that the root systems of all the trees are intricately, miraculously intertwined. They are connected. They share nutrients through a vast fungal network. They communicate. They support each other. They operate as a single, unified organism. A sickness in one part of the forest affects the whole. The strength of one ancient tree helps support the saplings around it. The illusion of separation is a lie told by the surface. The truth of unity is whispered by the depths. As you learn to live in this truth, as you begin to see the interconnected root system that links you to all of life, you start to perceive an even greater connection. You realize that this web of consciousness does not just connect you to other people, it connects you to everything. The line between your inner world and the outer universe begins to blur. You start to sense that your thoughts are not private events, that your intentions are not isolated sparks. They are communications within a vast, intelligent, and responsive field. You begin to understand that the universe itself is not a cold, dead machine, but a conscious, living being, and it is speaking to you. Once the illusion of separation begins to dissolve, once you feel the threads of connection between yourself and the world, a new and profound question arises. If you are not a solitary island but a wave in a vast, interconnected ocean, does the ocean speak? Does the whole of which you are a part ever communicate back to you? Your rational mind, the gatekeeper trained by a world of mechanics and probabilities, will be quick to dismiss this. It has a file for everything, and for this, the file is labeled coincidence. That song that played on the radio with the exact lyrics you needed to hear? Coincidence. Seeing the same sequence of numbers again and again just when you are contemplating a major life decision? A quirk of the brain's pattern recognition system. Bumping into an old friend who holds the key to a problem you were just wrestling with? Random chance in a small world. The mind is a master of dismissal, because to acknowledge a pattern beyond its logical grasp is to admit it is not in complete control. It is to admit that there is a layer of reality, a deeper intelligence at play, that it cannot measure, quantify, or predict. This is the conflict that rages within the awakening soul, the war between logic and intuition. Your intuition, that quiet, ancient part of you, feels the significance. It feels the subtle shiver of recognition, the hum of alignment, when a meaningful coincidence occurs. It does not need proof or statistical analysis. It simply knows. It recognizes the signature of a higher order, a wink from the universe, a nod of encouragement. It feels the event not as a random data point, but as a response, a dialogue. To the mind, it is noise. To the soul, it is a language. This is the language of synchronicity. It is the language the universe uses to show you that it is listening, that you are heard, and that you are being guided. It is not magic in the way a child understands it, with puffs of smoke and sudden apparitions. It is a more subtle, more profound magic. It is the orchestration of events, the weaving together of time, place, and meaning in a way that speaks directly to your inner state. The universe is not a dead, empty void punctuated by mindless spinning rocks. It is a living, breathing, conscious entity, a vast field of intelligence and energy, and you are a focal point of that consciousness. Therefore, the conversation is not only possible, it is inevitable. The problem is not that the universe is silent. The problem is that we have been trained to be deaf to its language. We are taught to look for answers in books, in experts, in external authorities, while ignoring the constant, personalized feedback loop that is always active in our lives. The universe speaks not in grand, booming pronouncements, but in whispers, in the feather that lands at your feet just as you ask for a sign of peace, in the book that falls open to the exact page you need to read, in the overheard conversation between strangers that contains the perfect piece of wisdom for your current struggle. These are not interruptions in the fabric of reality. They are the fabric of reality, showing its intelligent and responsive nature. So, how do you learn to understand this language? You do not need to decipher a complex code. You only need to do one thing: pay attention. You must become an exquisite observer of your own life. This begins with a simple, practical act. Start a journal. Do not call it a diary. Call it a synchronicity log or the book of signs. Each day, take a few moments to record the meaningful coincidences that occurred. But do not just record the event itself. That is only half of the equation. The key to understanding this language is to record the context. What were you thinking about right before it happened? What question was heavy on your heart? What feeling were you saturated in? For example, I was feeling lost about my career path, asking for a sign of what to do next. Then, I walked past a new store opening, and its name was The Weaver's Path, and I felt an immediate sense of calm and knowing. Or, I was consumed with anxiety about a difficult conversation. I looked at the clock and it was 11:11, and for a moment, I felt a presence, a reassurance that all would be well. By recording both the external event and your internal state, you begin to build a bridge. You create your own personal Rosetta Stone for the language of the universe. At first, the entries may seem random, but over weeks and months, as you read back through your log, a breathtaking pattern will emerge. You will see how the universe responded to your fears, confirmed your hopes, and gently nudged you back on track when you began to stray. The rational mind, faced with this overwhelming body of personal, experiential evidence, will have no choice but to quiet its skepticism. It will begin to cede its authority to a deeper wisdom. This practice is not about hunting for signs. It is about creating a state of receptive awareness so that the signs that are already there can be perceived. It is about shifting from being a passive victim of circumstance to an active participant in a cosmic dialogue. Think of your life as a great, mysterious book, written in a language you have yet to learn. The signs and synchronicities are the characters of that language. At first, they appear as strange, disconnected symbols. But as you pay attention, as you become a student of your own experience, you start to recognize the symbols. You start to see how they combine to form words, then sentences, then entire paragraphs of meaning. The story of your life begins to reveal itself, not as a random series of accidents, but as a purposeful, intelligent, and beautifully orchestrated narrative. The universe is not shouting at you, it is whispering, and to hear a whisper, you must be still. You must listen with the ear of your heart. You must be willing to believe that the conversation is real, and that you are a worthy partner in it. As you learn to listen to the universe's response, you naturally become more conscious of what you are putting out. You start to realize that every thought, every feeling, every intention is a word you are speaking into this vast, listening consciousness. It is a cause that will inevitably have an echo, an effect, a return. That echo, that inevitable return of energy from a universe that is always listening, has a name. It is a word that has been widely misunderstood, feared, and even weaponized for centuries: karma. Let us, for a moment, strip away the layers of fear and dogma that have been wrapped around this concept. Karma is not a cosmic scorekeeper sitting on a cloud, meticulously logging your good and bad deeds in a celestial ledger. It is not a system of divine punishment and reward handed down by an external, judgmental God. The universe is not waiting for you to make a mistake so it can strike you down. This is a human projection, born from our own societal models of crime and punishment, of guilt and retribution. To see karma in this way is to remain a child, fearful of a punishing parent. The journey back to your inner universe requires you to graduate from this fear-based understanding and embrace a more profound, empowering, and impersonal truth. Karma is a law of the universe, as neutral and as fundamental as gravity. Gravity does not judge you for stepping off a cliff. It simply and unfailingly demonstrates the consequence of that action. In the same way, karma does not judge the energy you put out into the world. It simply, and with perfect precision, reflects that energy back to you. It is the universal law of cause and effect applied to the realm of consciousness. Every thought you think, every word you speak, every action you take is a cause. It is a form of energy, a vibration that you release into the interconnected web of existence. And like any energy, it must have an effect. It must create a ripple. Karma is not the punishment for your anger. It is the experience of living in a world colored by the anger you have created. It is not the reward for your kindness. It is the experience of inhabiting a reality that reflects the kindness you have emitted. It is not a judge. It is a flawless mirror. It does not show you what you deserve. It shows you what you are. Herein lies one of the most difficult and liberating turning points in the spiritual journey: the transition from blame to radical responsibility. The ego, in its quest for self-preservation, is a master of blame. When things go wrong, it points outward. My boss is the problem. My partner is unfair. The government is corrupt. The world is a hostile place. This victim narrative is seductive because it absolves us of power. If someone or something else is to blame, then we are helpless, and we do not have to do the difficult inner work of examining our own contribution. To blame is to be a leaf in the wind, tossed about by forces beyond your control. But the soul knows a deeper truth. It understands that while you cannot always control the events that happen to you, you have absolute control over the energy you bring to those events. And that energy is a primary cause that will shape the future effects you experience. To accept this is to take your power back. It is to move from being a passenger on a chaotic sea to becoming the captain of your vessel, understanding that every turn of the wheel, every setting of the sail, influences your course. When you truly understand karma as an impartial teacher, your entire relationship with life changes. You no longer ask, What has the world done to me? You begin to ask, what is my experience showing me about the energy I am creating? A pattern of betrayal in your life is no longer just a series of unfortunate events. It becomes a mirror, asking you to examine where you might be betraying yourself, or where you are emitting an energy of distrust that attracts untrustworthy situations. A constant struggle with lack is no longer just bad luck. It is a feedback mechanism, inviting you to look at your core beliefs about abundance, worthiness, and scarcity. This is not about self-blame. Self-blame is the ego turning inward, still rooted in judgment. This is about self-awareness. It is the calm, compassionate observation of cause and effect. The question is not, am I a bad person? The question is this pattern of energy serving my growth and happiness? And if not, how can I consciously choose to create a different one? So how do you work with this law? Not as a victim, but as a conscious creator. You begin with the seed of all action, intention. Before you speak, before you act, before your fingers type the angry comment, learn to create a sacred pause. In that space between stimulus and response, ask your heart a simple question. Is this action I am about to take born from love, or is it born from fear? Love, in this context, means a desire for connection, understanding, and expansion. Fear means a desire for separation, control, and contraction. An action born from love seeks to heal, to build, to unite. An action born from fear seeks to punish, to defend, to divide. This simple question, practiced consistently, will transform your life. It will stop countless karmic seeds of negativity from ever being planted. Then, you must consciously plant the seeds you do want to grow. Practice anonymous acts of kindness. Buy a coffee for the person behind you in line. Leave a generous tip for no reason. Offer a genuine compliment. But do so without any expectation of thanks or recognition. Why anonymously? Because when you do good in secret, it purifies the intention. It is not an act for the ego which craves acknowledgement. It is a pure, unadulterated offering of positive energy into the universal field. You are not doing it to get good karma. You are doing it because you understand that by uplifting the whole, you inevitably uplift yourself. Each of these actions, no matter how small, is a pebble dropped into the still lake of consciousness. Imagine it clearly. A single, thoughtless, angry word is a jagged little stone. It hits the water and sends out sharp, discordant ripples that travel far and wide, disturbing the peace, and eventually, those same jarring waves return to lap at the shore where you stand. A small, conscious act of generosity is a smooth, beautiful stone. It creates harmonious, concentric circles that expand outward, carrying a vibration of peace, and eventually, that same gentle, calming energy returns to you. Some ripples return quickly. Some take much longer, traveling to the farthest shores of the lake before they find their way back. This is why the fruits of your actions are not always immediate. You must learn to trust the process, to understand that the return is certain, even if its timing is not. This requires the deep and often difficult practice of patience, of embracing the sacred pause not just in a moment, but in the grand unfolding of your life. You have learned to listen to the whispers of the universe. You have begun to understand the great, impartial law of karma, the echo of your own actions. You have tilled the soil of your consciousness, removing the stones of limiting beliefs. You have planted the seed of a clear intention, and you have watered it with your focused action and disciplined will. And now, you have arrived at what is perhaps the most challenging and misunderstood part of the entire journey for the modern soul, the waiting. You have entered the sacred pause, the space between cause and effect. And it is in this space that your faith is truly tested. We live in a civilization that worships the immediate. The cult of the instant reigns supreme. We want next-day shipping for our packages and instant validation for our thoughts. We have been conditioned to believe that any period of waiting is a sign of failure, that a lack of visible, rapid progress means that something is wrong. Our minds, addicted to stimulation and forward momentum, become frantic in the stillness. The ego screams that you must do something, that you must push harder, force the issue, manipulate the outcome. It fears the silence of the void, because in that silence, it loses its illusion of control. This is the great conflict between the ego's timetable and the universe's timing. The ego operates with the linear, impatient logic of a stopwatch. It has a plan, a deadline, and a specific vision of how things should unfold. It believes it knows best. Divine timing, on the other hand, operates with the profound, cyclical wisdom of the seasons. It understands that there is a time for planting, a time for gestation, and a time for harvest. It is an intelligence so vast and complex that it can orchestrate billions of variables in a symphony our limited minds could never comprehend. To the ego, a delay is a problem. To the universe, a delay is part of the orchestration, a necessary pause to allow other elements to fall into place, to allow your own character to strengthen, to protect you from an outcome you are not yet ready for. To demand that the universe adhere to your personal schedule is like a single note in an orchestra, demanding that the entire symphony speed up to match its rhythm. It is an act of profound arrogance, born from the fear that if you are not in control, then everything will fall apart. The core message you must integrate now is this: a seed requires time to germinate in darkness before it can ever reach for the light. Your own growth, your own manifestations, follow this same inviolable law. After you have planted your seed of intention, there is a necessary period of invisible development. On the surface, it may look and feel as though nothing is happening. You continue your practices, you hold to your vision, but the external world offers no proof that your efforts are bearing fruit. This is the great test. It is here that most people give up. They dig up the seed to see if it's growing, thereby killing it in the process. They lose faith, declare that it doesn't work, and revert to their old patterns of being. But beneath the surface, in the quiet, fertile darkness of your inner world, a profound restructuring is taking place. The roots of your new reality are taking hold. The energy you have put out is gathering momentum. The universe is aligning circumstances in ways you cannot yet perceive. The silence is not emptiness. It is the holy silence of the womb. It is the sacred pause of gestation. I invite you to think of yourself as a farmer of consciousness. You have done the hard labor. You cleared the field of your mind, pulling out the weeds of doubt and the rocks of old trauma. You chose your seed with care, the seed of a new life, a new way of being. You planted it in the rich soil of your focused intention. You have been watering it daily with your trust and your aligned actions. Now, what is the farmer's job? Does he stand over the field, screaming at the seed to grow faster? Does he dig up the earth every morning, demanding to see progress, number? To do so would be the act of a madman. The wise farmer, having done his part, now surrenders. He steps back and trusts in forces greater than himself. He trusts the sun, the rain, the soil, and the mysterious intelligence of life itself. He knows that the growth is happening according to a timetable that is not his own. His job now shifts from active doing to active trust. This is the embodiment of the sacred pause. It is not a passive, helpless waiting. It is an active, powerful, conscious state of trust in the process of life. To cultivate this power of patience, look to nature. It is your greatest teacher in this matter. Find a great tree and sit with it. That tree did not become mighty overnight. It spent years as a tiny sapling, enduring storms and droughts, slowly, imperceptibly strengthening its roots and thickening its trunk. It never once doubted the process. It simply continued to be a tree, reaching for the sun, drawing from the earth. No flower ever tries to bloom faster to compete with the flower next to it. It simply unfolds in its own perfect time. Observe the clouds. They do not struggle to get to the other side of the sky. They drift, they merge, they dissolve, surrendering to the wisdom of the wind. By immersing yourself in the rhythm of the natural world, you begin to untangle yourself from the frantic, unnatural pace of the human one. Practice trusting the gap. The gap is that space between your action and the result. When you feel the anxiety rising, the obsessive need to check for a sign, to force a result, consciously pause. Close your eyes, take a breath, and speak to the universe, either aloud or in your heart. I have done my part. The seed is planted. I now release it to you. I trust your timing. I trust your wisdom. I trust the process. Feel the energetic release of letting go of that desperate grip. You are not giving up. You are giving it over to a higher power. You are moving from a position of control to one of collaboration. This act of conscious surrender is what allows the universe to do its most miraculous work. It is often precisely when you finally let go that the thing you have been striving for appears effortlessly. Because in letting go, you have finally aligned your vibration with the rhythm of receiving. This sacred pause, this period of waiting, is not an empty space. It is the alchemical vessel itself. It is the crucible in which your patience, your faith, and your very being are heated and purified. It is in this fire of waiting that the lead of your old self is transformed into the gold of a new, awakened consciousness. What is this fire that burns within the crucible of the sacred pause? Sometimes it is the gentle warmth of patient expectation, but often it is the raging inferno of crisis, loss, and pain. It is the moment the life you have carefully constructed shatters, the moment the ground gives way beneath your feet. It is the dark night of the soul. Our modern world, with its obsession for comfort and ease, has taught us to see these moments as absolute failures. We are conditioned to numb the pain, to distract ourselves from it, to run from it at all costs, as if it were a monstrous predator. We see it as a sign that we have done something wrong, that we have been abandoned by the universe. But the deepest spiritual traditions know a different truth. They know that these moments of profound crisis are not a punishment, but a sacred summons. They are a holy disruption, an intervention from your own soul, designed to break apart the shell of the ego so that a more authentic and powerful version of you can be born. The wound is the place where the light enters you. In the face of suffering, you stand at a pivotal crossroads. You are presented with a choice between two fundamental identities, the victim or the alchemist. The path of the victim is well-trodden and seductive. The victim asks, "Why is this happening to me?" This question, though it feels natural, is a trap. It casts you as a helpless pawn in a cruel game, reinforcing a narrative of powerlessness. The victim clings to their story of injustice, replaying the wound over and over, drawing a strange comfort from the sympathy of others and the righteousness of their grievance. Their energy is one of contraction, of bitterness, and the world they perceive only hardens to reflect this reality back to them. Their pain becomes a cage. The alchemist, however, asks a different, far more powerful question. Faced with the very same fire, the alchemist asks, "What is this trying to teach me?" Or, "What is this experience asking me to become?" This shift in questioning is the key that unlocks the cage. It is the foundational act of spiritual alchemy. It reclaims your power in an instant. It reframes you not as a passive recipient of fate, but as an active participant in your own evolution. The alchemist does not deny the pain. They do not bypass the grief. On the contrary, they have the courage to feel it fully, to walk directly into the heart of the fire. But they do not identify with it. They understand that the fire is not there to destroy them, but to purify them. The pain is not the end of the story. It is the raw material for the great work. Let us speak in the language of the ancient alchemists. The first requirement for their great work was the prima materia, the base material. In the alchemy of the soul, your pain is the prima materia. Your heartbreak, your deepest fears, your moments of failure, your shame, your disparthes, are not things to be discarded. They are the essential, precious lead that you have been given to work with. Society tells you to hide this lead, to be ashamed of it. But the soul knows its true value. Without this raw material, there can be no transformation. You must gather your lead with courage. You must honor your wounds as the starting point of your liberation. The next stage is the application of the philosophical fire. This is not a literal flame. The alchemical fire is a combination of three essential human capacities. The first is conscious presence. This is the willingness to stay with the difficult feeling, to sit with the pain in your body without running away. It is to breathe into the tightness in your chest, the hollowness in your stomach, and simply allow it to be there, without judgment. The second element is radical acceptance. This is the act of dropping your resistance to what is. It is to stop fighting the reality of the situation. Acceptance is not agreement. It does not mean you like what happened. It means you stop wasting your life force in a futile war with the past. The third, and most crucial element, is focused intention. This is the conscious choice, the question you hold in your heart. How can this serve my awakening? What strength is being forged in me now? This combination of presence, acceptance, and intention creates an intense inner heat, a spiritual fire that begins to work on the base material of your pain. In this alchemical furnace, a miracle occurs. The dense, heavy lead of your suffering begins to change. It softens, melts, and transforms. The impurities, the self-pity, the blame, the resentment are burned away as dross. And what remains is the gold. This is not the common gold of the marketplace. This is the incorruptible, philosophical gold of the enlightened soul. Your heartbreak, when transmuted through the fire of presence, becomes profound compassion. Because you have known deep pain, you can truly understand the suffering of others. Your fear, when faced with courage, becomes unshakable strength. Because you have walked through the darkness and survived, you know that you are more resilient than you ever imagined. Your failures, when examined with honest self-awareness, become priceless wisdom. You learn the lessons that ease and comfort could never teach. This gold compassion, strength, and wisdom cannot be bought or sold. It cannot be given to you, and it can never be taken away. It is forged into the very fiber of your soul. So do not waste your pain. When crisis comes, and it will, do not turn away. Do not curse your fate. See it for what it is. An opportunity, an initiation. When you feel the heat, remember the alchemist. Hold your lead with reverence. Light the fire with your presence. Instead of asking, "Why me?" ask, "What is the gold that is being forged here?" Inquire with genuine curiosity. What illusion is this fire burning away? What strength is this pressure revealing? What old skin is ready to be shed so that I may be reborn? Write these questions down. Meditate on them. Live inside them. By doing so, you cease to be a victim of your biography and become the author of your destiny. You become the alchemist of your own soul, and the gold that you create, this inner light forged in your darkest hours, is not meant to be hidden. It is meant to shine. It becomes a beacon, a source of warmth and light not just for you, but for a world that is desperately in need of it. And so, the journey comes full circle. The seeker who once stumbled through the darkness, lost in the deafening noise of the mind and desperate for a flicker of external light, now discovers the ultimate truth. The light was never outside. The gold you forged in the alchemical fire of your own suffering now radiates from within you. The search is over, not because you have found a final answer, but because you have become the living answer yourself. This marks the most profound shift in a human life, the transition from seeking the light to being the light. This is where the true meaning of purpose is revealed, not as something you must find or achieve, but as something you must allow yourself to be. For your entire life, you have likely been conditioned to believe that purpose is a grand destination, a prestigious title, a world-changing achievement. This is the ego's definition of purpose. It is what a career, a project, a role that brings external validation. This belief sends countless souls on a frantic, exhausting search for the one thing that will finally make their life meaningful. But the spiritual path reveals a deeper truth. True purpose is not a what, it is a how. It is the quality of consciousness you bring to this moment. Your purpose is not to do something spectacular. Your purpose is to be fully present, authentic, and loving in whatever it is you are doing. Your purpose is to be the calm in the argument, the compassion in the judgment, the presence in the chaos. This is the great secret. The universe is not asking you to save the world. It is asking you to be fully present while you wash the dishes. It is asking you to bring your complete, undivided attention to the conversation with your loved one. It is asking you to feel the sun on your skin and the breath in your lungs with gratitude. Why? Because when you bring this quality of presence to the smallest acts, you infuse the world with a sacred energy. You transform the mundane into the meditative. A life of purpose is not a life filled with important events. It is a life where every event, no matter how small, is treated as important because you are fully there for it. In this state of being, the inner conflict between the temptation of old habits and the responsibility of your newfound truth begins to resolve. The choice is no longer a struggle. The old, comfortable patterns of fear and distraction simply lose their appeal. They feel hollow compared to the richness and vitality of a life lived in presence. This brings us to the final metaphor for your journey. For so long you were the ship, tossed on the stormy seas of emotion and circumstance, desperately searching the horizon for a guiding light. Now, you have become the lighthouse. Feel this transformation within you. The foundation of your lighthouse is the unshakable rock of pure being, the I am consciousness you discovered beneath all the layers of personality and ego. It is your connection to the eternal. The sturdy, circular tower is the strength and resilience you forged in your trials, the wisdom built from facing your fears and transmuting your pain. And the light, the great lantern at the top, is your own awakened heart, the alchemical gold of compassion, wisdom, and love now shining brightly. Consider the nature of a lighthouse. It does not chase after the ships. It does not sail into the storm to rescue them. It does not scream instructions across the waves. It does not worry about which ships are worthy of its light and which are not. Its function is far more simple and profound. It remains anchored to its rock. It stands tall through every storm, and it shines. It shines its light steadily, impartially, and without agenda. Its very being is its service. By simply being what it is, a beacon of light and stability, it offers hope. It reveals the hidden dangers, and it allows other ships to navigate their own course through the darkness. This is your new role. This is how you live a life of purpose. You do not need to become a preacher or a guru. You do not need to convince anyone of your truth. Your greatest gift to the world, your most profound service, is the quality of your own consciousness. By being the lighthouse, your peace becomes a permission slip for others to find their own. Your authenticity gives others the courage to be real. Your compassion melts the armor of those around you. You do not need to talk about the light. You simply need to shine it through your actions, your presence, your quiet state of being. You will find that people are drawn to you, not for what you can do for them, but for how they feel in your presence. They feel seen. They feel safe. They feel, for a moment, a connection to their own inner stillness. You help them not by giving them answers, but by being a space in which they can find their own. Living as the lighthouse is a moment-to-moment choice. There will be foggy days when your own light seems dim. There will be storms that rattle your foundations. The temptation to abandon your post and become a frightened ship again will arise. This is not a failure. It is simply a part of the human experience. In these moments, your practice is not to despair, but to simply choose again, to return to your foundation, to reconnect with the rock of your being, to remember that the storm is a temporary event, but you are the lighthouse. You are the stillness within the storm. You are the light that darkness cannot extinguish. Your journey inward has now become your journey outward, not through frantic action, but through radiant presence. You are no longer a seeker, buffeted by the winds of the world. You are a beacon, anchored, whole, and luminous. Just be, just shine. This is not an end. There is no final shore to this ocean, no summit to this mountain. This journey is a spiral, a sacred dance of remembering and forgetting, of waking and dreaming, and waking again. You began this journey perhaps feeling like a ship lost in a storm, tossed by the waves of a life that felt chaotic and out of your control. You were deafened by the static of a mind that never ceased its chatter. You dared to look into the mirror and question the face that stared back. You found the courage to walk through the landscapes of your past, not as a prisoner, but as a compassionate observer. You faced the fire of your deepest pains, not as a victim, but as an alchemist, transmuting the lead of your suffering into the gold of wisdom. And you have emerged, not as a repaired ship, but as the lighthouse itself anchored, steady and luminous. Remember this above all else. Nothing was ever truly broken. This journey was not about fixing a flawed being, but about stripping away all that was not you, so you could finally recognize the perfection that was always there. The tools, the strength, the light you were searching for were never outside of you. They are the very fabric of your being. You are not the passing storm. You are the vast, unchanging sky that holds it. You are not the single, struggling wave. You are the entire ocean. You are not the one being burned. You are the alchemist who wields the fire. You are the lighthouse. You are the light. Healing is simply the grand remembering of this truth. So take a final, deep breath. Turn your attention one last time, not to these words, but to the profound stillness within you from which you are listening. That quiet space is the source of everything. The universe is not outside of you. Look within. The whispers you have been hearing all along. They have always been your own voice, calling you home.